As he opens his eyes, he quickly tries to get up and figure out where he is. He wonders what kind of hell feels so familiar. Before Sal can even process his new life, a maid splashes him with water and angrily instructs him to clean himself quickly, as he is supposed to go with someone soon. He looks back at her angrily and gets slapped by the fat maid for showing such an angry, rotten gaze. Sal looks at his reflection in the water, and it is probably that slap that knocks some sense back into him. He begins to realize that he has been reborn. In his previous life, he was one of the Cooper family's shadows, undergoing the family's cruelest training from a very young age. The shadows were the ones who did all the hidden, dirty work for the family, and in return, the family would reward them with endless riches. As the illegitimate son of the family, Sal was always driven to change his fate, having been bullied by others. Born without any talent, he refused to let that be the end of him. Instead, he trained relentlessly to make up for it. Poor Sal was often neglected, so he took matters into his own hands and fought for the family. He dutifully obeyed every order, whether it was slaying enemies or disposing of their remains. After countless battles and victories, he thought his family would reward him with precious gifts. What he didn't expect, however, was to be framed. Looking back, maybe he should have been more pessimistic. This was how Sal Cooper learned the harsh truth behind the shadows. Before Sal was executed, his master, with an evil look on his face, told him that from the moment he became a shadow, the shadow oath had been cast on him. All the strength he gained through his growth would be continually transferred to his master, and every injury his master received would be Sal's to suffer. The glory and rewards he had been given were nothing more than a lure for people like him. Filled with anger and rage, Sal used his final burst of strength to strike at his betrayer, his master. In his last moments, he finally understood the blood magic that reversed the shadow oath and stole back all the power his master had taken from him. Now, in his new life, Sal is determined not to repeat his past mistakes. But as he thinks, his stomach rumbles with hunger, and he spots a rat. Deciding to end his hunger, he munches down on it, because after all, in his past life, rats were far more delicious than human meat. Suddenly he hears footsteps, and two young men walk in, telling Sal that Master Allen wants to see him. They try to grab him, but Sal quickly realizes that this is the moment in his previous life when he was chosen to become a shadow. All the memories of that time, however, have disappeared. This must be when the blood magic curse was placed on him. Without hesitation, Sal bites one of the men's hands, breaking free from their grip. Furious, the men try to strike him, but Sal, with a sudden flash of memory, recalls the swordsmanship training from his past life and swiftly cuts off one of the men's arms. The other, paralyzed with fear, wets his pants, stunned that the kid knows how to fight like a pro. With an evil grin, Sal knows his time for revenge has come. Talking about shadow oaths, it's a form of ancient blood magic where the master of the oath only needs to pay a very small amount of blood as a price to make the target become his shadow. The shadow will be unable to harm the oath master and must suffer the injuries sustained by the oath master in his place. With that said, all the growth and abilities of the shadow will be transferred to the oath master. But because of the cruel nature of this magic, the Empire ordered 100 years ago to destroy all the grimoires, preventing anyone from using it. Anyway, the young men who were supposed to bring Sal in get slapped by Alan Cooper. Even though Alan is only 8 years old, he is the next successor of the Cooper family. The man who just got slapped apologizes for being humiliated by a 3-year-old Sal. Alan then walks up to Sal, commenting on the guts Sal has to beat up his people. With no comeback, Alan orders for Sal to be locked up in a dungeon immediately. However, before the order is carried out, Alan's mother, Hera Cooper, stops him, saying that the kid had no one to look after him since he was young, so it's completely normal for him to act a bit out of line. She reminds him that it's more important to focus on the oath-taking ceremony rather than punishing a child. Hera approaches Alan, gently reminding him of what she mentioned earlier. Alan looks a bit shaken but continues to wonder why his mother chose Sal to become his shadow. He can't wait for the chance to completely ruin him. Alan smiles at his mother, and she leaves the room with the servants, telling one of them to cast a soundproofing spell and not let anyone disturb Alan. Once Hera leaves, Alan pours water into a cup and raises a toast, welcoming everyone as they become members of the Shadow Army. The kids seem excited for the oath-taking ceremony, shouting that they will dedicate their entire lives to the family, acknowledging that everything was granted to them by the family. But little Sal knows exactly what's going on. Then they all drink the water, and as soon as they do, they collapse onto the ground. As they fall, Alan, holding a knife, mocks them for their foolishness, claiming they couldn't even tell the difference between drugged water and holy water. He cuts his finger and drops a bit of his blood while casting the shadow oath. He can feel the magic working and the power entering his body. Certainly, he didn't expect it to be this simple and calls himself a genius. Alan can't wait to tell his mother about this, but suddenly he feels as though he can't move his legs. In a panic, Alan wonders if this is the after effects of the shadow oath. Fear creeps in as he realizes that his mother didn't discuss this with him, and he begins to cry out for her while crawling. Suddenly he hears a voice mocking him, calling him a coward and saying that now he's trying to hide behind his mother's back. Alan looks back and is reminded that no matter how much he calls for his mother, the soundproof spell has been cast, so no one can hear his miserable cries. With tears in his eyes, Alan turns around and sees Sal holding a sword in his hands. Instantly, Alan realizes that it's Sal Cooper. While Alan shivers on the ground, he still can't understand how Sal Cooper knows about the Shadow Oath. But Sal mentions that he knows a lot more, and if he were to reverse the Shadow Oath, he wonders how Alan would react. With that, Sal stabs the sword into the ground, and the pain starts in Alan's heart. He panics, unsure of what is happening to him. Alan screams at him to stop, wondering what he's going to do. Sal responds that in his previous life, he had to pay with his life to steal back everything that belonged to him, and in this life, he's simply returning the favor. Suddenly, a loud scream echoes through the room. The servants and Hera wonder what's going on inside since the soundproofing spell has broken. Hera instantly realizes that it's Alan's voice, screaming for help. She sits on the edge of Alan's bed, checking on his condition. The butler had assured her that the young master was fine, just a little exhausted from using such strong magic. He explained that the sound impenetrability spell had been cancelled because one of the servants had gotten distracted while casting it. She nodded in understanding and ordered him to feed that servant's body to the dogs. The butler agreed and bowed slightly. He mentioned that the young master seemed a little nervous, which was understandable, but he was still too young for something like this. The pressure was clearly taking a toll on him. Alan wasn't listening to them. He simply stared at a single point, lost in thought. For some reason, he felt like something had happened, but he couldn't remember what. Suddenly, his mother touched his forehead and smiled. She told him not to worry about the shadows, saying it was just the law of the jungle. Alan waved her hand away and asked how it could be any different. He was the future head of the Cooper family. Worthless people should be willing to give their lives for him. His mother looked at his evil smile in surprise, then laughed. She told him that he was truly her son because he understood things correctly. She added that if he wanted something, all he had to do was tell her, and she would do anything for him. They hugged, and Alan agreed, saying that she was the best mother. Sal stood by the window, watching them with a smile. He thought they made a cute pair, a mother and son. It was just a shame that from now on, Alan Cooper would be his shadow. In his past life, while fighting for the family, he had discovered a book on blood magic. Inside, he had found another Shadow Oath. He'd happily presented it to the head of the family, not realizing he was already under its influence. He had studied the book before that, and combined his knowledge with the experience from his past life. He removed the bandage from his hand, thinking that just one drop of blood would be enough to break the oath. His relationship with Alan was about to change, but right now, he was only 3 years old and too weak to fight them. He realized he needed to become stronger, and his first step toward power would be the Flaming Mountain. It was a brutal testing ground created by the Cooper family to find the strongest shadows. Just like Prometheus, who stole fire for humanity and suffered every day from an eagle's claws, children were thrown onto this fiery mountain. They had to survive while eagles tore at their flesh. Even if they died, they had no right to give up. Only when the first shadow reached the top would they receive the Griffin's blessing, an indestructible body, no matter how much pain they endured. Soon, they entered the training ground. Enos Walker, the shadow trainer, addressed the children, stating that they had only 3 days. Their goal was simple: reach the mountain's peak alive. How they achieved this was irrelevant. However, if they surrendered, they would be executed in 3 days. They had to fight for their future. Enos blew the whistle, and the children immediately rushed towards the mountain. The coach watched the last boy slowly ascend the slope. He noticed him too, and informed Enos that the boy was Sal Cooper, the bastard who had angered the young master the previous day. Meanwhile, Sal climbed the rock, gripping the rough edges. The man laughed loudly, and told Enos to look at Sal, mocking him by saying he was climbing with his bare hands and was bound to fall to his death before reaching halfway. The coach laughed too, calling Sal an idiot. His assistant asked why they didn't retrieve his corpse immediately. The man grinned and said he had a better plan, indicating it was time to put it into action, and showed Enos the time on his watch. At that moment, a huge shadow appeared at the mountain's summit. The children froze in fear and asked what it was, or if it was an eagle. Griffin stepped forward and the children screamed in horror, realizing it was a monster. Sal reached the top and looked around. He saw the bodies of many children and the massive griffin. The beast clenched its jaws, biting into the body of a small boy. Its eyes flashed with hunger. Enos pulled a bow from behind his back and reminded himself that this boy had angered the young master yesterday. He decided to use the griffin to eliminate Sal and please the young master. He drew the arrow, aimed, and shot. The arrow flew just centimeters from Griffin's head. The griffin roared in rage, demanding to know who dared to attack it. At that moment, Sal fully climbed onto the rock. Griffin assumed he was responsible and pounced, calling him a fool and wishing for his death. Sal smirked, thinking he could say the same to the beast. He suddenly jumped, dodging the attack. He had been through this before. He knew the only way to earn the Griffin's blessing. Sal leaped onto the monster's back and drew his sword, pointing the tip downward. With a confident smile, he thought he only needed to tame the beast. The Griffin was an S-rank monster, male, with a danger level of 4 stars. Born on Flame Mountain, it was rumored to have developed psychic communication after devouring many human brains. The Cooper family had made a deal with it. They provided food, and in return, it tested the shadows. Those who won its blessing received an indestructible body. Griffin loved gold and jewels and also had one offspring. Sal stabbed the tip of his blade into the monster's head, thinking that Griffin was a stubborn creature with the intelligence of a human. He believed that if he couldn't completely defeat it, then there was no chance of taming it. After striking the monster, Sal jumped down, increasing the distance between them, and then headed toward it again, realizing that he needed to give it his all in this fight. Sal swung his sword several times, but Griffin easily dodged his blows. Then, Griffin opened its massive beak, releasing a powerful energy and spitting it out at Sal like a huge tornado. Sal's small, light body was immediately blown to the very edge of the cliff by the wind. He felt himself starting to fall and screamed in fear, but luckily, he managed to grab onto the ledge just in time. He climbed back up, reminding himself that he was 3 years old now, not 30. Sal also realized that even his sword skills from his past life wouldn't help him in his current form. Griffin would end him before he could even get close. Sal knew there was still one way to defeat Griffin. He just had to reach the cave. He looked up at the cave entrance, which was on a higher cliff, and noticed that Griffin was gathering power again. Griffin shot a powerful stream at Sal, and he quickly ran to the side, realizing that Griffin had powerful wind magic. Every time Griffin released streams of wind from its mouth, its power increased by 1 level, up to 10. Sal understood that once Griffin reached its full power, even if there were 100 warriors like him, it wouldn't be enough. While dodging Griffin's attacks, an idea suddenly came to Sal. He stopped for a moment, then jumped up, thinking that since he couldn't hide from Griffin, why not use it to get to the cave? Sal took out his sword in front of Griffin to defend himself, and once again, the powerful wind slammed into him, throwing him back. He screamed loudly, feeling the energy from the stream in his hand. Sal realized that to minimize the damage, he would immediately use the power of the Shadow Oath to draw strength from Alan. At that moment, Alan was drinking tea but suddenly dropped the cup, which fell to the floor. His servant, in a panic, called out to him, asking for help. Meanwhile, Sal successfully reached the cave. He turned around sharply, running deeper into the cave, thinking that he had succeeded. He needed to hurry. Griffin approached the entrance of the cave and heard footsteps in the distance. It rushed after Sal, growling angrily. When it reached the end of the cave, it frowned, seeing that Sal was threatening its child with a sword. The Griffin growled again and called out to its child. Sal heard that few people knew that the babies of powerful creatures like griffins were born with broken wings and could not fly. Griffin demanded to know what Sal intended to do with his child. Sal reassured Griffin, telling it not to worry, saying that he wouldn't hurt the baby. In fact, Sal said, he could help heal its wings so that it could fly again. Griffin became interested, and Sal then made his demand. He had one condition. Meanwhile, the trainer, Enos Walker, and his assistant were heading to the top of the mountain, noticing that Sal was no longer there. They started discussing, claiming that Griffin had already eaten Sal. Enos said they needed to report this to the young Master Alan, as they would definitely be rewarded. His assistant agreed. Suddenly, Sal appeared from behind them, riding Griffin. Enos and his assistant turned around in fear, and Sal crossed his arms over his chest, smiling as he said that he'd only have to upset them and send them straight to hell, where they would wait for him. Enos Walker called out to Sal in surprise. Seeing the Griffin preparing to attack, Enos and his assistant began to run, exclaiming that this was impossible. A few minutes later, after finishing the body of one of the men, Griffin said that it had fulfilled its part of the agreement, and now it was Sal's turn. Sal sighed, agreeing to the terms, and asked Griffin to take him to the dungeon at the northernmost part of the mountain range. Griffin flew Sal to the dungeon, Land of Stone, and stopped in front of a huge door. Griffin told Sal that, as they had agreed, he would retrieve the sword Perseus and help Griffin get the blood of Medusa, which could cure everything. Sal smirked and replied that this wouldn't be a problem. He thought to himself that it was a shame his goal wasn't the sword or helping Griffin, but rather destroying the dungeon. Griffin opened the doors and Sal started looking inside. He thought to himself that he intended to use Griffin to destroy the dungeon. As light penetrated the dark room, it illuminated the face of the Gorgon Medusa, along with its 3 statues. As Griffin is about to attack the statue, to his surprise, it moves away. After he damages it, the statue just reconstructs itself and slowly becomes whole again. Sal realizes that the 3 statues don't have the 5 organs. Like the Grey sisters in mythology, they share the same eye and the same tooth. Since they and Medusa are daughters of sea deities, they have the ability to control seawater, so they run. Griffin says there's no point in running and tells Sal to think of a way to find the sword. Sal says he's searching for it, and the Griffin tells him that if this goes on, the place will collapse. As Sal thinks that there could be a clue in the runes on the wall, he suddenly realizes something. He considers collapsing the secret realm, burying everything inside, and escaping through the secret tunnel he discovered in his previous life. But that amount of destruction might not be enough. He tells Griffin that the runes say to remove the eye from up there. Then, they will stop attacking. As Griffin takes out the eye, the statue turns to water. Sal explains that the runes say Perseus discovered Medusa's location only after stealing the eye of the Grey sisters. So the eye is their weakness. Griffin then asks Sal about the sword and the blood that can treat its offspring, wondering if the runes say anything about that. Sal points towards the sword and tells Griffin that Perseus used this sword to behead Medusa, spilling both red and green blood. The red blood can poison all living souls to death, while the green blood can heal all illnesses. But these are just legends. As for this secret realm, there's another secret. Sal tells Griffin that the emergence of Perseus's sword marks the time of Medusa's revival. As the Medusa statue is activated, Sal realizes it's time to leave. Once the statue is triggered, it won't stop unless it's beheaded with the sword of Perseus. Facing the statue, Sal realizes he can't see the Griffin. Hiding behind a rock, the Griffin tells Sal that he can tell at a glance that the statue won't be easy to deal with. He leaves the rest to Sal, saying he doesn't want to die. Sal is surprised to see that the Griffin can shrink its size. It's fortunate that Sal has passed through this secret realm once in his previous life, so he's not completely out of options. But first, he needs to acquire the shield from the Knights of the Round Table. Then, he can use the shield's reflection to lower the risk of looking directly into Medusa's eyes and turning to stone from carelessness. At the same time, he can also use the shield to block Medusa's gaze attack. However, as Medusa uses her gaze attack, Sal realizes the shield won't be enough. The secret exit has also been destroyed, and with his current talent level, Sal can't wield the sword of Perseus. But Sal refuses to give up. He won't know unless he tries. If he doesn't give it his all, he will die today. So even if he has to put everything at stake, he reaches for the sword. To his surprise, he can easily lift it. The sword feels light in his hands, because his talent rank is too low to wield it. Alan's mocking words echo in his mind, remembering how Alan had called him a mere D rank, unworthy of staining the holy sword. Sal remembers being tied to a cross as Alan asked his mother if Sal was still conscious, implying they were going to strip his talent away. His mother had responded that a simple amnesia magic would be enough to settle it. Sal recalls how Alan had taken away his swordsmanship talent. The Griffin watches in shock as Sal breaks off the bind unscathed. Sal now recalls that in his past life, he possessed a sword talent that might have been S rank or higher. However, the matriarch had used some form of magic to strip him of that talent and transferred it to Alan, also erasing his memories. Things were getting more interesting. Whether it was Alan or the family, Sal swore he would take his revenge. Noticing the change in Sal's behavior, the Griffin grew curious and decided to take the chance to flee while Sal seemed to be losing control. As Griffin tries to leave, Sal calls out to him. Scared, the Griffin asks why Sal called him and wonders why he feels fear from a kid, despite being an S-rank monster himself. Sal, without hesitation, asks if Griffin's head is made of metal, and Griffin realizes that Sal had been planning to use him to destroy the secret realm from the start. However, since Sal can heal his offspring, the Griffin decides to let it slide. Once they leave the secret realm, the Griffin blesses Sal with a body that will never be injured, no matter how many times he's attacked. Sal feels his body strengthening, and some of his minor injuries heal. With his injuries reduced, Sal no longer has to transfer his wounds to Alan, which had been a constant burden that could eventually draw the matriarch's suspicion. Furthermore, Sal knows he must keep his S-rank sword talent hidden for now, or he'll attract unwanted trouble. Sal hands the Griffin a potion, instructing it to give it to its offspring to heal its wings. After the Griffin gives the potion to its baby and watches it take flight, it becomes happy. But Sal reminds the Griffin that now the baby can fly, but if it doesn't accept a master before it comes of age, it will ultimately remain a mindless bird. The Griffin asks what Sal means, and Sal explains he's only offering kind-hearted advice as a stranger. After all, the Griffin had only become strong after it accepted a master. Griffin realizes Sal is right. If its previous master hadn't fed it human brains every day, it wouldn't have awakened its intelligence and grown stronger. But the Griffin's master had died 100 years ago, and it wonders where it can find someone as ruthless as him. The Griffin then asks Sal to accept its child as his pet monster, thinking that Sal, with his remarkable intelligence and skill, might even surpass Bled in the future. Sal realizes the griffin has taken the bait and tells it that he can accept the baby as his pet monster, but only if they strike a deal. Sal asks for all the information the griffin has on Bled Cooper, as well as the precious key that can unlock the place where the Cooper family worships the sword spirit Bled. Meanwhile, the matriarch is angry at the housekeeper for being unable to determine the cause of Alan's fainting and demands to know how long the situation will last. The housekeeper reassures her, saying not to worry, as the young master has the protection of the Shadow Oath and has always recovered quickly. After all, the little shadows help him take on his injuries and replenish his strength. The matriarch begins to believe the housekeeper, but she still feels something is off. It seems to her that Alan's condition started after the Shadow Oath ceremony, and she suspects someone might be behind it. The housekeeper then brings up another urgent matter. He informs her that Sal Cooper obtained first place in the competence test, just as expected. The housekeeper also reveals that Sal used the griffin to kill uncle and nephew Walker, and even tamed the griffin's offspring as his pet monster. The matriarch, shocked by the news, asks where Sal is now. The housekeeper tells her he's just outside the door and will call him in immediately. Sal Cooper enters and politely asks the matriarch how he can assist her. The matriarch, still reeling from the news, asks him why he killed the Walkers. Sal replies calmly that he did it all for the family. A shadow training officer like him, killed by a 3-year-old child, he was too useless, and the Cooper family didn't need trash like him. Sal sees anger and hatred on the matriarch's face, but even if she brings out all her cards, Sal will never be afraid. The matriarch tells the housekeeper to reward Sal with recuperation in the Eden Spring. After Sal leaves, she tells the housekeeper to accelerate the research for the deprivation magic. Before the sword spirit inheritance ceremony, Sal's talent must be stripped for the young master's use. She knows that if the secret that Alan has no talent for swordsmanship is exposed, his position as the heir will be shaken. As Sal stands beside the Eden Spring, he remembers Griffin telling him that before Bled Cooper's death, he used forbidden magic to seal his soul under the Eden Spring. His purpose was to pass on the swordsmanship he acquired throughout his life to the heir that possessed S-rank swordsmanship talent, and ensure the status of the Cooper family in the Empire would not fall. The Griffin told Sal that once he enters the Eden Spring, he has to swim along the undercurrent, and he will reach an underground cave. The key will guide him to the owner. But there appears to be something strange about Eden Spring. The Griffin had been separated from its master for too long, and it doesn't even know the exact requirements. The only thing it can tell Sal is that the owner uses blood magic, and it won't be easy to deal with. Hearing about the blood magic, Sal realizes it won't be easy getting the swordsmanship inheritance before Alan. As the other children discuss Sal's achievements, Renaud makes fun of Sal and says he didn't expect someone as thin as a monkey like him to run as fast as one and become the first to reach the summit. In Sal's previous life, on the surface, they were his subordinates. But in reality, they were pawns placed beside him by Alan. They fabricated baseless accusations of him collaborating with the enemy nation. But because they had Alan supporting them, they got used to getting their way. Renaud tries to throw a punch at Sal and says he wants to see whether his invincible body is useless or not. But Sal blocks his punch and shows him his strength. As the sidekick attacks Sal with a knife, Sal uses Renaud as a shield and stabs him instead. He throws them into the spring since it can recover the injuries. After all, he wants to use the two for training in the future. In this life, Sal will give them a reason they can't reject and make both of them his pawns. Sal notices the aura of black magic in the water. He wonders why this evil forbidden magic, which is equal to blood magic, appears in a spring that can recover all wounds and illnesses. Perhaps this is the odd thing that Griffin said. Regardless, Sal cannot enter this water. He has to think of a way to get to the bottom of the spring without touching a drop of water. Sal hears a scream for help and finds the voice familiar. A servant drags a girl away by her hair for not serving the tea and water properly. Sal recognizes the girl as Andrea. As the servant is about to hit her, Sal uses his sword and kills the servant. Andrea sees Sal and thinks he's a prince, while Sal thinks he scared her and apologizes to her. She thanks Sal for saving him and tells him her name is Andrea. Andrea was Sal's best friend in his previous life. She possesses a magic talent that surpasses anyone her age. They fought together temporarily for a few days too. Andrea thanks him for helping her. Sal awkwardly tells her no problem. This is what a gentleman should do, and tells her to call him Sal. He asks Andrea if she knows a way to drain the spring or get into the spring without touching a drop of water. He can't forget the task at hand. If it's Andrea, there should be a way. Andrea asks Sal if he notices it too, and tells him that although there is a strange magic in the spring that can recover injuries, anyone that uses it can never accept another form of healing magic, and can only rely on this spring to recover their injuries. Sal realizes this is also another way for the Cooper family to control the shadows, by forcing them to beg the family for help when they are suffering through pain. Andrea tells Sal that to thank him for saving her, she has a way to let him enter the spring without touching the water. She enables duck magic, which enables people to dive into the water without wetting themselves, just like ducks. As the servants run to catch Sal, they jump into the water. As Sal reaches the undercurrent of the spring, he knows this is the place. But Andrea tells him they can't enter there and should leave. But before they could get the chance, the current sucks them in and throws them into a cave. Sal shows Andrea the key and tells her that the key can unlock the place where they worship Sword Spirit. However, there's no door around, so perhaps it needs to be summoned. Sal hands the key to Andrea. She tells him she doesn't know what a Sword Spirit is, but she can try. As Andrea uses her magic to summon the door, a monster attacks them, and at its mouth, the door appears. Sal tries to wake Andrea, but he has no choice but to let her rest for now. He uses the invisibility magic that Andrea taught him in his previous life, so she wouldn't be easily discovered if there was any danger. After all, there will probably be an ugly battle to obtain the inheritance of the Sword Spirit. As Sal steps through the door, even though he was prepared, what he saw was unlike anything he expected. On the surface, Eden Spring appears to be a medical hot spring, but in reality, it serves as a sensual retreat where the Cooper family keeps their concubines. At this moment, Sal realizes the true fate that awaits them. The monster, sensing an S-rank presence, asks Sal if he is indeed Sal Cooper, the child rumored to have been born with an S-rank talent. It remarks that Sal doesn't seem pampered at all and suggests he might just be a bastard child here to claim the inheritance. The monster warns Sal that it won't give up the inheritance easily unless he can get past it. Sal responds calmly, telling the monster not to worry because he's here to kill it. The monster, launching an attack, mocks Sal, claiming he's still too weak. But as the monster observes Griffin's blessings on Sal, it's momentarily taken aback, noting it didn't expect the foolish bird to acknowledge him. The monster mentions that Bled had sacrificed a great deal of his power to seal its soul, and while Sal's abilities are still lacking, there's still a glimmer of hope for him to inherit the power. Sal, undeterred, activates a magic restrictive blood formation and tells the monster it has been dead for a long time. He adds that over the last 100 years, the Empire has researched and developed techniques to deal with blood magic. Sal then explains that, with this, he only needs to take the monster's heart to forcefully claim the inheritance. As Sal charges toward the monster, it mocks him again, saying it's been a while since it played with a little mouse, but this time, it's not playing anymore. The monster acknowledges Sal's talent and ability, but says it's still not enough to earn its sword technique inheritance. It then uses blood to control the blood spirits, sending a barrage of attacks towards Sal. In response, Sal draws the Sword of Perseus, using it to resist the magic. However, the monster effortlessly breaks through the protective shield with a single touch, lifting Sal by his throat. The monster grins, saying that after a cat has finished toying with a mouse, it's time for the mouse to be eaten. As Sal's mana and blood are drained away, the monster pauses, its expression turning curious. It mentions that Sal's aura is familiar, almost like the taste of the concubine it devoured last time. Perhaps it must be Sal's mother. Now it will finally have the chance to taste her child. As some kids bully Sal, the memories of his mother run through his mind, and as he thinks of his mother leaving him, one of the kids throws a rock at him and tells him his mother abandoned him. Sal quickly realizes that his mother did not abandon him, and it was the monster who killed his mother. As Sal attacks the monster, it's surprised by his strength. How could he know blood magic? And full of revenge, he's willing to burn his blood just to kill the monster. The monster realizes it has used up much of its strength releasing the blood spirits, so it needs to consume more women to replenish its strength. As the monster refuels and feeds himself, Sal jumps behind him, driving his sword through the monster's head, and asks him if his mother was delicious. As Sal kills the monster, the images of his mother flash before his eyes, calling his name. The monster sees Sal's madness. However, it needs to eat more concubines, otherwise it would die. As Sal is about to finish the monster begs him, offering Sal to possess his sword and become his sword spirit, but Sal simply tells the monster it's not worthy and lands the final blow. Swordsmanship inheritance will be imprinted within the body after absorption. Sal realizes he almost forgot. He's been motherless since birth, and all those thoughts were his delusions, he thinks to himself. Is he a monster? A reflection of his mother in the monster's blood tells Sal he's not a monster, and Mom has always been by his side. Meanwhile, Andrea calls Sal from behind. As she sees Sal covered in blood, she asks him where he's hurt so she can heal him. In her previous life, Andrea too met the same fate as the concubines, but Sal swears to not let tragedy repeat itself in this life. The disappearance of the sword spirit caused a commotion within the family, which resulted in all of the guardians of Eden Spring being sentenced to death. After witnessing Sal's ruthlessness, the servants never dared to bully Andrea again. Amidst the lies, Sal was accused of causing the disappearance of the spirit sword. But, without evidence, the matriarch can only intensify the persecution. Confinement, withdrawing blood, poison. Sal survived all of them unscathed. 4 years later, on the Cooper family training ground, Alan defeats the servant who begs Alan for mercy. As Alan holds the sword, he asks the servant if he wants to defeat him with this level of ability. But the servant knows better and tells Alan he wouldn't dare. Meanwhile, as the Isaac family head, Duke Hugh Isaac, sees Alan in action, he says that he had heard before that Alan was born with S-grade swordsmanship talent, and today, it looks like the rumors were right. As Isaac and Leon look to the other side, they see Sal clear the room with only a few attacks. Isaac points out that ordinary people at this age would still be in the position of Iron Sword Apprentice. But the way Sal cleared the room in so little moves, he has clearly reached the stage of Silver Sword Guardian. Jealous of Sal's impression on everyone, Alan challenges him to a one-round duel. Sal sees this as a chance to see Alan's skills, and Alan thinks it's the perfect opportunity to pretend that he killed Sal by accident. As they face each other, people gather around, cheering for Alan. As Alan attacks thinking he's going to win, Sal barely puts in any effort in blocking and tells Alan to try harder, which was a shock for him. Sal only takes one blow to throw Alan away. Furious, Alan charges at Sal again because it should be impossible. His mother told him no one in the family is his match. But as he takes a swing at Sal, he realizes that even with magic power imbued, the sword is thin. It's obvious that it has been artificially enhanced, and Alan doesn't have any swordsmanship talent at all. Sal shows Alan a real strike and jumps above him, stabbing him in the eye. Meanwhile, Duke Isaac says to Duke Leon that he judged wrongly and Alan's ability is nothing much, and goes as far as to ask if the servants were acting. Leon tells him that he's being disrespectful, so Isaac apologizes and says since his sister and Alan are engaged, he doesn't want her to be married to a useless man. Leon mocks Isaac and says he's worrying too much, and if the royal family hadn't granted this marriage, who knows if his sister would even have been able to marry. Isaac tells Leon to repeat himself with a threatening face but then decides to leave. He tells Leon that he won't disturb him any further and tells him to not forget the joint operation of the families in 10 days. Leon asks his servant what the little shadow is called. She tells Leon his name is Sal and he's the child of one of his mistresses, but it wasn't recorded which mistress. As Leon realizes Sal is his son, it becomes obvious how his sword talent is good. Leon asks the servant to send Sal to his study room. As Sal enters the room, he kneels before Leon and asks him what his orders are. Leon realizes he can't sense any talent power in Sal, and wonders if he's intentionally hiding his true ability to steal the position of heir in the future. Crafty. But Leon thinks he's just a little brat who's too easy to read. He tells Sal that in 10 days, he will be leading the Shadow Squad 10 and heading towards the Lost Crystal City with the Isaac family to retrieve the dragon egg. Leon hands Sal the sword that can activate the teleportation to Crystal City and tells him that to retrieve the dragon egg, he will have to anger the demonic dragon no matter how. Sal knows Leon must not have good intentions to send him there, but he cannot miss the chance to earn a dragon egg, so he accepts the order and tells Leon that he has a request. As they're on the way to Crystal City, Andrea asks Sal if he informed the family head that she came along to serve him, because it's not appropriate for her to come all the way. Sal tells her it's okay, they don't mind. As they reach the Crystal City, Sal asks where the crystal and the dragon egg are. Gloria mocks the team for not having the basic knowledge about Crystal City. As she formally extends her hand and introduces herself to Sal, he simply ignores her and tells Andrea to wait with Mio the little griffin until he comes back. Gloria walks behind Sal, still trying to get a reply from her, but Sal tells her that if they don't activate the portal before the sun sets, the trip will be wasted. Sal's memories with Gloria from his previous life flash before him, and he thinks to himself that he still met this troublesome woman, but he shrugs it off and hopes that the stupid bird Mio can successfully finish the mission given to it. As Gloria and Sal open the portal, the Cooper family servants are surprised to see it, and the Isaac family's guards tell them it is a teleportation formation. The portal opens, revealing the Crystal City. As Sal sees the beautiful city, he wonders if the demonic dragon egg really is in a place like this. He sees one of the guards prepare to kill the Cooper family soldiers to bring the dragon egg back for the Isaac family himself, thinking the family will reward him, but as Sal tries to save them, the light sentinel who protects the Crystal City comes out of the portal, putting a stop to the guard's attack. As one of the sentinels is about to attack Isaac's family guard, Gloria jumps in, slashing the sentinel down and asking the guard who told him to act on his own. The guard tells her he did it for family, but Gloria knows he only did it for himself. Meanwhile, another sentinel is about to attack Gloria, but Sal saves her with just one blow of his sword and commands the shadow unit to get into formation. Sal stands facing the light sentinels, waiting to see whether their power of light is stronger or his power of shadow will win. The Isaac family's guards see Sal defeat all the sentinels with ease and wonder if this is the same Cooper family that incorporates magic into swordsmanship. After all, Sal is just a kid and he's already so powerful. Gloria too is impressed with Sal. However, Sal has now absorbed the power of the crystals and is immediately raised from Silver Sword Guardian to Gold Swordmaster. As Sal takes the next step, the altar starts to descend, opening the secret passage to the dragon's den. So they all climb onto the altar. As they reach down, they find themselves surrounded by dragon eggs in the demonic dragon's den. In the den, there are enough eggs for everyone, so they don't even need to split them. Seeing the slow progress of the Shadow team, Sal sarcastically says they're in a rush to feed the demonic dragon. The demonic dragon rises behind them, and as everyone runs to hide, Sal and Gloria draw out their swords, ready to fight. As Sal commands everyone to take the dragon eggs and leave while he covers, they find Gray already leaving with the dragon egg. It was the Cooper family's head who ordered Gray to destroy the teleportation altar after securing the eggs so that the Isaac family doesn't have a chance. Gray tells them that the Empire can only have one family who possesses the dragon egg, and that's the Cooper family, and leaves. Gloria says the Cooper family head is ruthless, abandoning not just them, but Sal as well. However, it was well within Sal's expectations. Gloria asks if that's within his expectations, why he rushed in here to throw away his life. Sal tells her she's thinking too much because he's not dying here and attacks the dragon, cutting one of his wings off. Seeing Sal fall, Gloria uses her moonshine sword shield and protects Sal from the dragon attack. Sal asks Gloria to help him delay the dragon's action so he can take the chance to attack his heart, because she's the only one who can do this. Gloria agrees and runs towards the dragon, thinking she's a great swordswoman too and she can't let Sal look down on her. As she distracts the dragon, she calls for Sal to attack only to realize Sal is still standing there. Gloria thinks Sal fell too hard and has no energy left to attack, and if that continues, they are all going to die. So she uses the only move she can, the sword dance of destruction, and the dragon falls. As Gloria thinks she has defeated the dragon, it rises again, but this time he's gone berserk. Everyone runs to hide, but Sal stands there, transforming the dragon's blood into his clones. One of the Shadow members notices Sal's sword also changed into a new hold-grade treasure sword. Gloria explains that it is the forbidden blood magic, and the Empire only allows the Cooper family head to use it against enemies on the battlefield. She thinks to herself about the rumors that the sword spirit in Cooper has disappeared, but before she could finish that thought, she realizes Sal intentionally stood back and waited for her to draw the dragon's blood. She gets angry at Sal for using her, but Sal takes it lightly. He was an abandoned pawn in his previous life, so in this life, he cannot sit idle and wait for his demise. As Sal beheads the demonic dragon, Gloria runs towards him in celebration, but Sal stops her, pointing his sword at her. He's under demonic possession, the same demon he had killed earlier. The demon tells Sal he can't rest easy after killing it. He'll need to eat more flesh and blood to maintain his strength, just like the demon. The demon tells Sal to kill Gloria and the Shadow members. As Sal jumps at them for more blood, he sees Andrea. A while later, Sal wakes up outside with Andrea by his side. She tells him that she used purification on him so he won't be demonized for now, and the others are fine too. She gives him the dragon egg that Gray ran off with earlier and tells him she didn't tell the Isaac family about the dragon egg, and Gloria had already left with her team, so he doesn't need to worry about not completing the mission. Sal thanks her and tells her he wasn't worried about that. However, Mia was originally supposed to take Andrea to a prearranged location and then lie about her accidental death so she could leave the family. Sal attacks Mio with his sword, but Mio tells him that it wasn't his fault. Andrea was worried about him and insisted on entering the secret realm. As Andrea suggests talking it out, the Shadow members call out Sal from behind and run towards him with their swords unsheathed. Sal thinks they finally showed their true colors and aim to snatch the dragon egg away from him, but to his surprise they run past him and stab Gray for abandoning them. They all kneel and ask for Sal's forgiveness for being rude earlier, and acknowledge that they would have been dead when the family abandoned them if Sal hadn't saved them. They tell Sal they'll no longer listen to the family and swear to follow him till their deaths. Before Sal could get a chance to say anything, the demonic dragon egg hatches, and from it comes out the demonic dragon. Sal speaks to the demonic dragon, who accepts him as its master. The Shadow members congratulate Sal for taming the demonic dragon, and with it was born Sal Cooper's rebel force against the family. Meanwhile, at home, Alan asks his mother when he can go to the horse racing tracks, who tells him he can go when his father is done with work. Alan's father soon walks in, angry at him for enjoying all day while Sal not only slew the dragon but also tamed its offspring. The mother tells him that it's not Alan's fault, and if he had gone, he'd have tamed the dragon too. With that, she takes Alan to the racetracks. He tells the servants to bring his horseship, while his mother asks them how the research on deprivation magic is going. The servant tells her that the research has been completed successfully, and they're now waiting to find a test subject with S-rank talent. Once they've ensured that it works, they'll immediately use it on Sal Cooper. 5 years later, Andrea performs the purification ritual on Sal, so he won't be demonized in the future, and can use the sword technique as much as he wants. He thanks Andrea, but she tells him she should be the one thanking him for giving her such a wonderful staff. Meanwhile, he saw somebody pass through the window glass. It had escaped already, but he recognized the figure as the housekeepers. Sal's guards come in, telling him the task he had assigned them has a result. They secretly trailed the housekeeper and discovered that he had been recruiting a group of black magic mages. He seems to be preparing to conduct a ritual in 3 days and even mentioned finally finding another target with S-rank talent, and their magic abilities are very high. Sal thinks to himself, are they about to begin the deprivation magic ritual? And why don't they target him directly? And they're finding another target with S-rank talent? He realizes that the target with extremely high magic ability is Andrea. Meanwhile, 3 days later, Andrea sees the mess in the storage room and thinks about using magic to clean up. But the housekeeper comes out of nowhere and kidnaps her after she faints. The black magic mages begin the ritual by reciting, "Power of the night, hear my command. From the abyss of the heart, condense in my palm. Transfer the power to my control. The power flows, following me like a shadow." The housekeeper holds the dagger above Andrea, who is still passed out. He thinks to himself, as long as the blood of her heart is mixed into the formation, her talent will be his. But the moment he stabs her, he realizes she's gone. Confused, he wonders, what's going on? Andrea speaks up from behind, tells him that it was the illusion magic, and he shouldn't underestimate her. With the shining star lock, she captures the housekeeper, who now realizes that Andrea is too tricky for him. He tells the black magic mages to take her down. Andrea closes her eyes and covers her ears as Sal told her to. The housekeeper hears some sounds, and the mages are surprised to see a griffin and a demonic dragon. They wonder why there are suddenly monsters. Hearing about the griffin and the demonic dragon, the housekeeper realizes it's none other than Sal Cooper. Sal threatens him that he touched Andrea. He must be tired of living and asks why he targeted her. The housekeeper tells him he did it because deprivation magic can only be used once on a target, and to ensure that young Master Alan will receive Sal's talent, they have to find a human test subject. He begs Sal to spare his life because he was just following orders. Sal realizes Andrea was in danger because of him and tells the housekeeper that he can let him go. He casts a shadow oath on the housekeeper and tells him to go back and tell the matriarch that the deprivation magic ceremony was successful and can be conducted on him immediately. Otherwise, he knows what will happen to him. The housekeeper asks why, and Sal tells him it's to expose Alan's true colors. Meanwhile, back at the Cooper house, the housekeeper tells the matriarch the deprivation experiment had succeeded, while Alan asks Gloria for a tour to the garden, but she denies. The matriarch asks the housekeeper if he's certain, and he tells her the upcoming full moon coincides with the young master's coming-of-age ceremony, so it's the perfect time to act. The matriarch thinks to herself that her long-cherished wish is finally about to come true. She can finally make Alan not only the future head of the family, but future strongest man in the empire. Meanwhile, Alan still doesn't take no from Gloria and thinks she's playing hard to get. He thinks his mother telling him to get closer to his fiancée is a waste because who wouldn't want to be with him? Gloria thinks otherwise and pulls out a sword at him and asks him if a useless young master like him is worthy of becoming her fiancé. She tells him he will first have to defeat him. Alan calls for someone to come and get her, and Sal comes to his aid, repeating Alan's exact words to mock him. Alan, who's jealous of Sal, tells him no one asked him to save. He just happened to forget to bring a sword with him. Gloria asks Sal why he has come, and asks him to train with her, but Sal refuses and says he's busy today. Meanwhile, Alan sees all this and worries why Gloria is so intimate with Sal. Does she like him? Gloria tells Sal that not everyone is qualified to train with her and asks him to reconsider. As Alan's anger builds up seeing his fiancée and Sal like that, his mother calls him. So he lets it go, and thinks that he will take proper care of her when he marries her in the future. Since Gloria did not willingly accept his request today, he decided to leave. Gloria tells him that now that the annoying person is gone, if he doesn't agree to train with her, she will attack him immediately. Sal agrees, but on the condition that she introduces him to her brother Duke Isaac. Sal meets up with Duke Isaac and tells him he has a way to cancel Gloria and Alan's engagement, but he hopes that the Duke Isaac will lend him the Isaac family's heirloom, the illusionary time box. In Sal's previous life, Duke Isaac was not satisfied with the playboy Alan and was also unwilling to ally himself with the Cooper family. He repeatedly proposed to cancel the engagement, but was constantly rejected by the royal family. So in this life, Sal takes advantage of this. Duke Isaac finds Sal very arrogant and tells him that an engagement blessed by the royal family can't be cancelled by the likes of him, and how he dares to talk about conditions. Sal tells Duke Isaac that only someone like him can solve his problem and pulls out his sword. As Duke Isaac sees the sword, he realizes that Sal is the real child in the Cooper family with the S-rank talent. Sal tells the Duke that since the engagement can't be cancelled, they'll just have to destroy the trash young master. A month later, the housekeeper tells the matriarch that everything is ready, but Sal Cooper is not with the bastards, and the young master went to search for him. The matriarch says she knows and tells him to go and help the young master. Meanwhile, the bastard kids talk among themselves, and one says that he really doesn't know why they called them here. Is it to emphasize Alan's status as the heir so they can be his dogs without worry? The other points out that Sal is the one with swordsmanship talent. He's fated to become the future family head. But the third one tells them to stay quiet so the family head doesn't hear them. Meanwhile, one of the servants tells Duke Cooper that all the guests are seated, and to not make them wait. They've followed his instructions to begin. Duke Isaac comes in, asking Duke Cooper to talk. Duke Cooper tells him he doesn't remember inviting him, but Duke Isaac answers that it's his future brother-in-law's coming-of-age ceremony. He will definitely come to enjoy the excitement. Meanwhile, Sal, hidden in the corner, tells one of his people that it's time to activate the illusionary time box. They begin to enchant Gates of the Abyss, Shadow-Woven Fantasy, Illusionary Time Box, Virtual Realm Open. As the enchantment ends, Alan comes in, asking Sal why he's hiding here alone. Sal stays tied in chains by young Master Alan. Andrea sees Sal in danger. She realizes it wasn't a dream, it was a reality from a previous life. The power of the stars. One of the talents awakened by a time mage. Mages who awakened the power of the stars can spy into the past and future through time fragments. Andrea sees Sal is in danger and runs for his help. She has to stop Alan before he makes his move. As she reaches there, she sees Alan offer him the wine that his awarded him. Andrea casts magic to make Alan sleep for a few months, but Gray comes to take her away on Matriarch's orders. The Matriarch thinks to her, Doug told her that the deprivation was successful, so why is she still able to use magic? However, she shrugs it off because now's not the time to think about this. The deprivation ceremony is more urgent. As Sal drinks the wine and passes out. Now tied to a cross, Sal asks Alan, who is he to think he can possess an S-rank talent? Alan beats up Sal and asks who is he to think he can possess a demonic dragon? Who is he to think he can gain Gloria's favor? All that should have belonged to him. Alan's mother tells him to stop wasting his time talking and get started. The housekeeper presents Alan the dagger that was specially designed to temporarily pierce through Sal's invincible body. Alan stabs Sal in the heart and tells him that the swordsmanship talent is now his. He tells Sal this is his fate now, and from now on, Alan is the true worthy heir of the Cooper family. He will now possess the strongest talents and abilities, and no one will stand above him. Sal bursts into laughter and mockingly asks Alan if he's performing for a play or something. He breaks himself free from the chains and tells Alan to open his eyes and see clearly whose fate it is. As Sal snaps his fingers, it is revealed to them that all this time, they were standing in the banquet hall. People start to murmur, how could the Cooper family do such a thing? They didn't expect the young master of the Cooper family to be such a person. And does that mean the legends about him having an S-rank talent were false? Is he even worthy of being an heir? Seeing the true colors of Alan, people feel disgusted. The matriarch can't believe what's happening. How could Sal know what they were going to do to him? To her knowledge, the trial was a success. So where did it go wrong? But right now, what's important to her is to salvage the situation. Alan speaks up and tells people that they're being tricked and Sal is trying to frame him. His mother agrees too, as she's about to explain. Duke Isaac steps in mocking the exciting show. As the Duke walks in, the matriarch tells him to punish her because she ordered Alan to do it. But the Duke doesn't listen and throws Alan across the room. Alan says he didn't do anything wrong. Sal is a mere bastard child, and everything he has should have been his instead. The people around start to talk about how the Duke himself relied on his strength to rise to the top. Although he never avoided the issue in public as his son, how could he point it out in front of outsiders? The Duke commands all his children and tells them the succession contest begins today. The succession trial means they all have the right to compete to become the heir using any means necessary, no rules. The winner takes it all, so they plan to kill Alan first. Meanwhile, Duke Isaac laughs at the legendary Cooper family spirit that was above all. Duke Isaac proposes canceling the engagement between their two families and tells him he doesn't want his sister marrying a lying and weak man. Duke Cooper knows that everything that just happened was caused by the power of the illusionary time box, and there's no doubt that Duke Isaac allied with Sal. But all the nobles are present. If any rumors reach the ears of the royal family, it would only be detrimental to the Cooper family. It's better to step back first and deal with him in the future. Duke Cooper shakes hands with Duke Isaac and tells him to not worry. He will send a request to the king and give him an explanation. Duke Cooper now turns to Sal and tells him he can fight for the title of the heir, but he cannot do anything that harms the reputation of the family. Otherwise, he will make him disappear. Sal tells Duke Cooper that he's not interested in the position and asks him if he wants to make him disappear. Why doesn't he do it now? And calls him father. The Duke is surprised and wonders what he's thinking but leaves. One of the servants asks the Duke if he is really not going to teach him a lesson. The Duke answers that there's no need because Sal is quite skilled. If anything, he looks forward to seeing what he can do. It's just Sal's personality that is really unlikable. On the other side, the matriarch asks the housekeeper who leaked the information, and how did that brat know that they were going to take action? The housekeeper tells her he doesn't know either. One of the servants brings in Andrea and asks the matriarch what to do with her. She tells him to feed her to the demonic creatures, but then realizes that Andrea was actually using magic, so either the deprivation test didn't work, or it didn't even happen. She turns to the housekeeper and tells him to show her talents since he stripped them of her. The housekeeper hesitantly tells her that Andrea's magic is too advanced, and he hasn't mastered it yet, and asks for a few more days. The matriarch tells him there's no need and orders her men to execute him on the spot. As the servants swing their swords, the housekeeper desperately tells her it was Sal Cooper who forced her. To her, a dog betrayed its master, and the master killed the dog, so there was no need for an explanation. She turns to Andrea to take her talents now so she can make the best use of the situation now. Sal didn't expect that even after displaying Alan's garbage and inferior nature, it's still not enough to make the family head determined to get rid of him. Is it because he's afraid of the power behind Alan's mother? And she arranged for him to stay under the castle last night. Does she want to control Sal and is afraid of him escaping? However, before he makes Alan taste all the pain he's suffered, he'll never leave. As the door knocks, he thinks it's Andrea and tells them to come in. But it's Gloria. She tells him that her brother told her that he'd be returning that item, and since she was free, she came to collect it directly. Sal thinks to himself that if he can gain the Isaac family's support, perhaps he would be able to directly kill Alan. Before he finishes his thought, Gloria interrupts him and asks what he's thinking. He tells her that he's thinking that for a family on the same level as the Cooper family, why would they consider something that can only create illusions under strict conditions to be their heirloom? Gloria asks if he really wants to know. She won't tell him unless. But before she finishes her sentence, she thinks to herself, no one believes the legends anyway, and all the nobles already know about it, so she can use it to make Sal owe her a favor. However, Sal doesn't give in. He holds the door for her and tells her goodbye. Furious, Gloria tells him that she wants to fight him. In the sparring room, Gloria runs at her to attack, but Sal effortlessly deflects her blow with his sword. He points the sword at her to display her loss. Sal tells her that it was she who wanted him to use his full strength. As per their agreement, she has to tell him the illusionary time box's secret. Gloria tells him that it's just a legend, so no one knows whether it's real or fake, and no one has ever made it happen. According to legend, if one gains the recognition of the power of the stars and masters the illusionary time box, one can sacrifice their entire life to let someone be reborn. Sal realizes that it was Andrea who sacrificed her life to make him reborn. So, in this life, not only does he have to take revenge, but he also has to take good care of Andrea as well. Before he finishes his thought, his servants come in bearing the news that Andrea has been captured. He asks who did it, and they tell him that during the operation last night, someone saw Andrea get captured by the matriarch and some servants in the forest. Gloria points out that she overheard some people saying that Andrea became the young master's personal maid and will become his mistress when she gets older. She thought the young master they were referring to was Sal. Hearing this news, Sal furiously runs to Andrea's rescue. Gloria tells the servants to follow him because by the look on Sal's face, it is clear he isn't going to rescue someone, but to kill. Alan, on the other hand, is furious at Sal for humiliating him in front of so many nobles and swears to make him suffer the most terrible death. Meanwhile, one of the servants tells Alan that he heard that Sal likes Andrea and suggests making her pay for Sal. Alan praises the servant's cleverness and tells Andrea that he will ensure she becomes a worthy concubine under his care. Andrea thinks about what she can do. She can't use magic because it's been sealed by the chains, so she hopes that Sal comes to rescue her. Alan tells her he wonders what face Sal will make when he sees her humiliated as his slave. He tells her to accept her fate and become his mistress. Before Alan could even touch Andrea, Sal punched him, throwing him across the room. Sal continues beating Alan. The servants try to help, but he's too strong. Gloria frees Andrea from the chains and tells her to hurry because Sal is demonizing again. Andrea holds Sal and tells him she's fine. As Sal stops, the servants take Alan away. The matriarch sees Alan beaten up and asks Sal, is that how he repays his father for letting him stay in the castle? Sal walks up to her, draws blood from his hand, and tells her that he challenges Alan Cooper to a holy battle to the death. He can never let this unpredictable factor who threatens Andrea exist ever. 7 days later, they stand in the dueling area. Sal tries to antagonize Alan and says he didn't expect him to not run away after delaying for 7 days. Alan replies that he wouldn't miss a chance to squash a bug like him. The shield gives Sal a bad feeling, and the battle begins. Alan uses the Medusa petrification laser, and as Sal dodges it, he calls him out and calls Sal a dancing monkey. Sal's shadow oath won't make him immune to Medusa's attack because an abnormal status like petrification doesn't count as damage, so there's no way to transfer it via the shadow oath. So he must destroy the shield. Alan tells Sal that he probably didn't expect this. When Sal stole the sword of Perseus, Alan obtained the shield of Medusa instead. He says, "This is the difference between a child of destiny and a rebellious person." Sal runs to attack Alan, but he quickly summons Medusa's shield that blocks the attack. Alan remembers he's a golden staff mage now and uses the blood magic corruption at Sal. Duke Isaac sees the vile black magic that can only be mastered by using the souls of 1,000 commoners who died painfully and demands an explanation from Duke Cooper. However, he refuses and tells Duke Isaac to respect the noble's tradition because that's his family's secret. Seeing Sal not dodge the corruption, Alan calls him a fool and tells him to enjoy the pain. But he's surprised when it doesn't work. He's tested the move a few hundred times, and no one should be able to resist the magic and avoid corruption. Alan is surprised to see Sal standing unscathed, and his attacks completely ineffective. Sal attempts to attack Alan but realizes that he cannot hurt him because his shadow oath transfers damage to other shadows. Alan doesn't know why the shadow oath on Sal became ineffective, but he uses an even more lethal magic now. He uses the other shadow's life force to use a life scepter. This move can extract the life force of others and attack the target. As long as the life force of the attacked person is lower than the total life force gathered by the scepter, the target will die immediately. As the shadows walk towards Sal, Alan swears that he will not stop punishing them. However, Sal refuses to be an animal, and so he uses the forbidden magic, the blood formation. All the shadows celebrate as they come back to their normal state, and Sal's demonic dragon flies into the dueling area. As Alan stands defeated, Sal tells him to enjoy his last breath because it will be his last. Duke Isaac is surprised to see the dragon armor, and he thinks to himself, could the legends be true? The legend says that if the dragon race can attune their will with their master, under the influence of intense emotions, they can completely alter their form and greatly enhance their master's abilities. This is known as dragon armor. Alan is shocked to see this ability. He says it's impossible. Even if Sal has received the acknowledgement of the beast, it's impossible for the two of them to synchronize their hearts and minds. Alan thinks it's an illusion and decides to shatter the illusion and uses the forbidden magic. Sal tells him what made their will connect together is their wrath towards him. As Sal attacks, Alan blocks it with his staff, but Sal cuts through with his sword and slashes his hand apart from his body. He tells Alan this slash is for the innocent people whose talents he stole. The matriarch stands up from her seat after seeing Alan hurt, but Duke Cooper tells her to sit down. Sal pushes through the forbidden magic monster and tells him this for the shadows who died for him and Alan, and whose talents he stole and used to death in the previous life. As Sal is about to punish Alan for all the evil deeds he has done in the past, present, and future, the matriarch comes to his rescue. She used the help of magical artifacts to cast an 8th ring spell like the Holy Shield. Duke Isaac thinks the rumors that the matriarch was injured by the backlash of magic when she assassinated the former family head could be true. Duke Isaac never expected to witness the matriarch's powers. After all, she's an S-rank mage but stopped fighting in battles after marrying Duke Cooper. The matriarch casts 9th ring magic Holy Spear and says if she knew that Sal would become such a monster, she would have killed him when he was a baby. But today, she's going to correct this mistake. Duke Cooper tells everyone to stop and casts a magic restraining ripple, causing everyone's armors and abilities to dismantle. He tells Sal the Cooper family doesn't welcome him, and orders him to take his people and leave before he changes his mind. Sal leaves the house, accompanied by the Isaac family head. He tells Duke Cooper there's no need for him to leave with them. Duke Cooper asks him if he's interested in joining the Isaac family. Hearing this offer, Sal asks him, does he not mind him being exiled from the family, and is he intending to declare war on the Cooper family? Sal tells the Duke that although he can't join his family, he can make a deal with him. He tells the Duke that the king is gravely ill, and a war between nobles is imminent. If he can successfully enter the Imperial Academy, he will likely be the first to receive the news from the capital. The Duke asks him why he should trust him and help him enroll in the Imperial Academy. Sal thinks to himself that since his swordsmanship talent is S rank, this is the perfect time for him to use this trump card. He tells the Duke that he should trust him because he'll become a direct disciple of hidden sword St. Chris. Meanwhile, hearing his name, the drunken Chris thinks to himself, who is it talking about him behind his back? Meanwhile, some days later in the outskirts of St. Gordon City, Sal points towards the 3 towers ahead of them. He tells Duke Isaac that they're the strongest defenses of St. Gordon City, the Holy Trinity magic towers, and seeing them means they're not far from the city. The Duke tells Sal to be careful outside of school because St. Gordon City is filled with nobles. Sal thinks to himself that Duke Isaac is not trustworthy. For the sake of his family's interests, he's done plenty of backstabbing, so he has to handle the matter himself and find an opportunity to break away from the group. Duke Isaac tells Sal to not worry because he will settle everything regarding the Imperial Academy. However, Miss Andrea will have to endure a little inconvenience by enrolling as his maid. That way, the two can live together legitimately. As for the guards, Duke Isaac offers to settle them in his family estate. They can help protect the estate and deal with any bandits. Hearing that there might be bandits near the Imperial capital, Sal realizes there's an opportunity. The Duke explains that they might be called bandits, but they're really just the subordinates of the Saint, Gordon Nobles. Sal tells them to leave the bandits to him and takes the opportunity to part ways with the group. The Duke asks, "What about Andrea?" And Sal tells him to send her to the Imperial Academy's School of Magic. Sal stands outside a bandit hideout deep inside the woods. According to Angela's own account from her previous life, she should be around 7 years old now, and she's secretly imprisoned in this bandit hideout. Her father, Chris, has been desperately searching for her and is willing to spare no expense. So, Sal thinks to himself, if he saves Angela, he would be able to successfully become his disciple. Sal summons his dragon armor and runs towards the bandits. With his swordsmanship inheritance skills, he defeats the bandits one by one until he faces the bandits' boss. Sal uses his blood shadow slash. Upon recognizing the blood magic sword, the bandit realizes Sal is from the Cooper family. He tries to explain who he is, but Sal defeats him and says he doesn't care who they are. The griffin flies in after finding the place he told her to. Sal follows as it leads the way. As Sal enters the hideout, Angela asks him if he's a good person who's come to save her. Sal tells her he's here to bring her to her father and ask him to teach him sword techniques. He can't lie to Angela because she once told him she can tell if someone is lying and can sense their true intention. Angela knows Sal isn't lying, so she goes along with him. But as they're about to leave, Sal realizes it's not going to be easy. Sal tells Angela that the big guy on the outside is very powerful, and he can only block his attacks once. So when he rushes out to attract his attention, she needs to run away as fast as she can. The power of a 4-meter-tall skeleton colossus is comparable to that of a sword saint, and the one Sal faces is almost 5 meters tall. Sal knows he's risking his life this time, puts on his dragon armor, and tells Angela to get ready. He runs towards the colossus, and as he blocks his attack, he tells Angela to run. Sal's armor still has one more move in his dragon armor, and this is a perfect time to test it out. So he releases the armor. The dragon armor release forcibly deactivates the dragon armor state, causing the remaining magic within the armor to explode instantly, creating a terrifying shockwave as a life-saving skill. A mere skeleton colossus can't stop Sal on his path of revenge. Right now, he just needs to bring Angela out of this. As the colossus attacks Angela, the griffin flies her up to save her. As Sal prepares to leave, he's blocked by a seal-type magic array. He must destroy the array's core to escape, but with the colossus chasing him, he doesn't even have time to scrutinize the array and find its core. Angela asks him if the array core he mentioned is located in an important area that others are not allowed to access. Sal asks her if she knows where it is. Angela tells him that when they let her out occasionally, there were 3 places she wasn't allowed to go near, and points to the closest one. The Colossus skeleton is strong, but it's slow and can only use the skeleton cannon from a distance. However, Sal does not have the dragon armor on, so he would be seriously injured if he got scratched by it. As he enters the room, he sees that the room has been strengthened, but it won't last long. Angela tells him the bow seems to be calling her. Angela picks up the Slythe's blessing bow and suggests the big monster is almost here, so they should leave and go to the next place. As they enter the other room, there they find the array core. However, the problem is that the mage who set up this array triggered the skeleton colossus's self-destruction. Sal tells Angela that the move he's about to use might make him lose his mind, so she must find a way to protect herself. Sal uses the only move he can, the swordsmanship inheritance 4th skill, Bloodbath Storm. Meanwhile, at the Imperial Academy, a messenger brings the news to Chris that the Deadbringer of the Second Prince has left the city and asks if they should send people to follow them. Upon hearing the news, Chris tells him to take good care of his wine while he goes to check it out himself. The messenger is glad to see his lord finally free. At the bandit lair, Sal is under the demon's influence again and bloodthirsty to attack Angela now. Angela remembers Sal telling her to survive by any means and uses her bow to attack him but fails. The demon controlling Sal moves forward. Angela is now unable to move another step. He lifts her up in hopes of drinking her pure blood. Angela tells Sal to not be sad because he's done his best. This makes Sal regain his senses, and he knows the demon is going too far now. The blood demon is surprised how Sal can break free on his own. He tells Sal to stop resisting because he can't stop him. His mind will never be free from the blood demon's control. Sal tells the demon his influence is terrifying, but he only needs one move. Sal uses the blood feast, and the blood demon desperately tells him he's destroying himself and will never become a swordsman in the future. However, Sal doesn't care about that because Chris will help him resolve these problems. and soon, the blood demon will be dealt with too. The demon warns him against hoping in other people and tells him that he'll regret it. Meanwhile, Sandrew's Deathbringer has come to kill Sal for bringing trouble to the prince. As he lifts his dagger to attack Sal, Angela shields him with her body and tells him to not hurt Big Brother. The Deathbringer is surprised to see his hand chopped to pieces. It was Angela's father who came to save her. As he is about to leave with Angela, she tells him to not leave Sal. So Chris offers Sal to help him heal his body. He tells Chris that's not the only thing he wants. He risked his life to save Angela to inherit his legacy. Chris tells Sal that right now he's the one saving Angela. Sal answers that although his mistake caused some small issues, it also freed Chris from the Second Prince's control. 7 days later at the Imperial Academy, Chris tells Sal that his body might not have healed properly yet, but he has already announced to the Empire that Sal will inherit his title in the future. Sal asks if that makes him the public enemy of the Imperial Academy now. So Chris tells him that he can choose to not be his disciple at any time. As they walk down the hall, some students talk among themselves about rumors regarding Sal that he's the one who killed his own brother, or even his whole family. Sal tells Chris that his inheritance is not the only thing he wants. A mere group of hostile students could never stop him. Meanwhile, William, a commoner student and gold swordmaster, interrupts and says that Sal is a villain who has harmed his own blood brother and a shameless scoundrel who deceived Sword Saint Chris with his schemes. He challenges Sal to a duel to strip him of all his honor. Sal thinks to himself that such an overwhelming hostility can barely conceal the murderous intent. This could only be the work of the Second Prince Sandrew behind those bandits. Sal thinks it's his plan to use William's sense of justice to deal with Sal while he's severely injured. William tells Sal that if he can't dare to accept the challenge, he should leave Sword Saint Chris and abandon his noble title. Sal pulls out his sword and thinks to himself that when he met William for the first time in his previous life, he challenged him to a duel because he was used by others. Sal didn't expect this to happen again after he was reborn, but for old time's sake, he decided to do it. Sal accepts the challenge and tells William that if he loses, he wants his eternal loyalty. As William and Sal face each other in a duel, the other students show their disdain for Sal and tell William to teach him a lesson that the Imperial Academy isn't a place where any stray dogs or cats can enter. William takes a run at Sal with the Imperial swordsmanship, charging heavy cleave. Sal uses his blood demon sword and effortlessly blocks the attack. He tells William to admit defeat because he's no match. However, William uses his swordsmanship and raged skill now, and Sal just used Bloodlight Stealing Shadow, so he needs at least 10 seconds before he can use it again. William attacks with his ultimate combo that he mastered when he was at the Imperial Academy, but Sal dodges again. William knows blood magic is different from other forms of magic. In his current condition, Sal can barely manage the second technique of the blood demon swordsmanship, which is at the level of a silver sword guardian. If Sal uses his third technique, he might not just trigger the blood demon phantasm, but also cause his newly recovered body to collapse again. But William's loyalty is something Sal is willing to risk his life to get. Sal uses his 1000 Blood Shadow Blades skill and swings his sword at William but spares him. William is surprised to see the moves, for he didn't even know swordsmanship could do such a thing. Sal tells William that seeing his expression once again makes him really nostalgic. However, as Sal gets demonized once again, William notices there's something wrong with his bloodlust. Chris recognizes that he used blood magic. Seeing this, the students think Sal must be an evil villain who kills indiscriminately and deserves to die. As William stops them, they tell him to stay back. There's nothing more he can do. But William refuses and tells them Sal has earned his eternal loyalty, and even if he's an evil person, he will protect him and die before he does. Chris sees Sal as himself when he was younger. He tells the students taking advantage of someone's peril is not the style of the Imperial Academy students. Once Sal recovers, there will be plenty of opportunities for them to compete with him. As Chris leaves with Sal, Moran Shavat, the second son of the Shavat family, asks the second prince what they should do. The second prince tells him that he remembers Sal entered the academy through a noble recommendation and asks him to come to the trial mission hall with him. Meanwhile, Andrea tells Professor Cassidon that he wants to help Sal, and only she can deal with the blood demon phantasm affecting him. Professor Cassidon tells her it's better for her to stay away from him, because what he practices is evil blood magic. Andrea points out that he said that the magic faction and the ethics of magic are unrelated. However, he tells her that the majority of them are unrelated, but blood magic is different from other magic. On the other end, Chris tells Sal that if he wants to master blood demon swordsmanship perfectly through blood magic, he must possess absolutely perfect mental power, willpower, and physique. He adds that in the past 7 days, he went through grain pains to help Sal recover. He taught him how to use the bloodline magic power of blood magic to replace physical strength in using blood demon swordsmanship and in controlling and enhancing his body. Chris tells Sal that if he wants to cripple himself so badly, who will settle his vendetta with the Cooper family. And is this how he's going to repay him? By using his body that hasn't fully recovered yet? Sal tells him that he's not that naive, but some things are worth risking everything for. Chris asks, what if he had died or harmed others? But Sal tells him he believes his master would not tolerate his disciple heir going mad and committing massacre. Meanwhile, George Brandon, the head of the Combat Academy branch, stands at their door and coughs to grab their attention. Chris asks him what he's doing here because he isn't welcome here. George tells Sal that he's a noble recommendation student. According to school regulations, he has to complete the trial mission within 1 week to prove his eligibility to stay at the Combat Academy. As George leaves, he tells Chris to not let his little schemes affect the normal teaching order of the school. The headmaster may be lenient with him, but he won't be. Sal asks Chris if he has a feud with him. Chris tells him it's just a blade that anyone can use and calls George an old, stubborn fool who was lucky not to die in his hands. He tells Sal that as long as he doesn't break the rules, he won't have to care about George. Chris tells Sal to go and make preparations because if the mission is personally arranged by that old, stubborn man, it won't be easy. That night, at the entrance of the wilderness secret realm, stood the second prince and Moran Shavat. The second prince tells him the trial mission that George Brandon assigned to Sal is in this secret realm. He tells him to go in ahead of time and pour the potion into the water source. As for how crazy he'll get, it all depends on when Chris stops holding back and moves to kill him. The next day, Sal tells William that he was going to find him after accepting the mission. William tells him that the mission won't be easy to win, but Sal tells him that he already knew this because George dislikes his master, so he will intentionally make things difficult for him. However, William tells him the current situation is very complicated. Everyone is gathered at the Grand Hall waiting for Sal to make a fool of himself. As they reach the desk, Felix asks for their name and school. Sal tells him he's here to accept the trial mission. Felix tells them that due to a mutation in the secret realm, the difficulty of student Sal's trial mission has been elevated to highly dangerous. Now it requires a team of at least 4 people. William tells him to change to a solo, normal difficulty mission. But Felix tells him that suitable solo missions will only be announced next week. But as per the Academy's regulations, Sal must complete the trial mission within 3 days to officially join the Academy. Felix mischievously asks Sal if he's going to find a way to gather enough people, or if he's going to safely leave the Academy. One of the students objects to why Felix is even talking to him. If it were him, he would have closed for 3 days to prevent Sal from accepting any missions. Sal asks Felix if he really thinks he can't find any teammates, and Felix replies that it doesn't matter to him, but no one else seems to want him to enroll in the Academy and become a lackey like William. Sal pulls out his blood sword and tells Felix that if he can find enough teammates, he wants Felix to kneel and admit that he's blind despite having eyes, and apologize to William for shaming him. Felix tells Sal that unless he kills him, he shouldn't even think about making him kneel. Sal tells him he won't kill him, but he will report everything to Master Chris, who will take action to protect his disciple. As Felix tells Sal to speak after he gathers enough teammates by tonight, Gloria, Andrea, and William offer to join Sal's party. Sal calls Felix the senior with squinty eyes and tells him to register him for the mission, and then kneel and apologize. Seeing Sal make Felix kneel, one of the students says that as expected, a villain is a villain. Senior Felix was only following the rules, and now he's resorting to using Master Chris's name to bully others. As they leave, William tells Sal that he doesn't need to go to extremes for his sake. But Sal tells him that as long as they don't do anything wrong, they shouldn't let trash stand above and do whatever they want. Meanwhile, Felix is furious after being humiliated and tells George that he wants to go and kill Sal personally, but George tells him that he must follow the rules. Remember the shame he felt today and convert it into strength. That way he can extract Sal's life away like the Grim Reaper while following the rules. As they reach the dense forest of Melessa, William tells them the inheritance of the ancient, enigmatic sorcerer Melessa is hidden here. But the Academy has had this secret realm for hundreds of years, and no one has managed to find the rumored inheritance. He further tells them the dense forest consists only of this mountain forest, and the exit is at the lake on the mountaintop. The base of the mountain is the most dangerous part of this secret realm, where it is those nightmare-level magical beasts equivalent to titled sword saints that roam. As Sal notices something coming, he tells everyone to prepare for battle. William tells them it's Melessa's insect swarm. Not only is it hard to shake off, but it also doesn't bring any benefits. They just have to leave their active path. However, the adventurers that were being chased say that it's useless. They have been running for 20 minutes and changed directions 5 times, and the insects are still chasing them. Andrea uses her magic spell to cast a shield. Sal tells them they've been running for 20 minutes and didn't have the courage to pull out a sword. Are they even worthy of being called geniuses? Sal uses his blood serpent skill and kills all the insects, but as expected, the worthless creatures didn't even boost blood mana. As the adventurers take a sigh after being saved, Sal asks them, "Are you not ashamed you were saved by an enemy?" One of them answers and says that no noble would think of a bastard like Sal, who can't even inherit a title or land, as an enemy. He's nothing but a source of amusement. She tells Sal that if he has any sense, he should escort her out, and she might leave a retainer position for him. As they talk, they notice some monsters coming towards them. William explains they must be the monsters attracted by the insect swarm. He notices something is wrong with the monsters and tells everyone to be careful. However, it doesn't matter, Sal thinks. He just has to kill them one by one. The Cooper family's blood demon swordsmanship is a type of swordsmanship inheritance with blood magic as its core. Because it uses magic instead of physical strength, the blood demon swordsmanship's techniques are bizarre and unpredictable, making them difficult to protect against. For a wielder of blood magic to increase their magic capacity, much like a warrior strengthens their body, they only need to kill. Control the blood, use the blood. This is the core of blood magic. While a blood mage cannot advance rapidly due to their fragile body, a swordsman has no such weakness. No matter how much magic is in the blood, under the secret techniques of the blood demon swordsmanship inheritance, it will only make a blood swordsman even stronger. The only problem is that the malice of the deceased towards the living, lingering in this blood, will condense within the body into an eternal blood demon phantasm. That is an eternal curse that only those with an indomitable will can suppress. As Andrea sees Sal absorb the blood of the monsters he kills, she asks him if he's okay. Sal tells her to not worry. With Master Chris regulating his power, he'd be fine against these mere high-level magical creatures. As Sal uses blood magic and gets consumed with it, Andrea casts the Wall of Stars to protect the others. Gloria asks if this is like that time in the Dragon Lair. Andrea tells her it feels different, and before she explains how different, Starlight interrupts her. She says that there's nothing to be conflicted about. Those who practice blood magic will all eventually descend into madness. It's just common knowledge. The first and second heads of the Cooper family went mad because of the blood magic. It is said that the current head became the Silent Sword Saint to isolate the influence of blood magic on the family's bloodline. Andrea asks the noble girl to combine for her the Starlink technique, but she tells Andrea it's useless to use this kind of spiritual resonance on Sal. She's only courting death. As Andrea enters Sal's spiritual world, she sees the demon phantasm who pities that there's someone willing to risk their life for Sal. She asks what he did to Sal. The demon answers that it wasn't him. It was Sal who ate something he shouldn't eat. The first Cooper who created him was killed by this very thing. The demon asks Andrea if she still wants to save him. He tells her to let him plant a blood demon seed in her heart, and he will tell her how. Andrea agrees to the demon, who laughs at her for being too kind for her own good. Seeing Andrea use the 7-ring Starlight spell at such a young age, the noble adventurer thinks she must have spent all her time on training and calls Andrea a peasant who doesn't know how to enjoy life. Gloria tells her to either come over and help them or shut her mouth and hide at the back. The demon calls Sal trash for being saved by a young girl. Sal tells the demon to get lost, but the demon tells him that if he hadn't promised Andrea to save Sal, he wouldn't have bothered showing up in this disgusting place. The demon tells Sal to remember it because he will only teach this once and tells him to identify the differences between the blood and determine what exactly made him lose control. As Sal takes it out, the demon tells Sal that if he lets this kind of thing enter his bloodstream again, he will kill the girl he cares about. The demon tells him they'll see each other again very soon, and Sal tells him the next time he sees him, he will regret it. Sal uses his blood serpent violent feast to kill all the monsters once and for all and absorb their blood. Meanwhile, a bright light appears in the sky, and Gloria points out that a half-saint level powerhouse entered the secret realm, which means the school must have realized the situation and sent a teacher to fetch them. Sal asks why a half-saint level powerhouse was deployed, and if something has changed in the trial mission. Regardless, he says he will complete the mission. As the beasts rush towards the half-saint level powerhouse, he slays them with ease. The half-saint level powerhouse is Oliver, an advanced swordsmanship instructor at the Imperial Academy, and he's here to bring Sal's body to the Academy so that he'll be in Sandrew's good favor. With the item designed by the Magic Academy to specifically locate blood magic users, Oliver can easily find Sal and kill him. Sal asks William if he knows why the level of half-saint exists. Could it be that they wanted to save face and called themselves that title? Oliver sees them with the students they saved and realizes with these students as witnesses, it won't be easy to deal with Sal directly. Seeing Professor Oliver, the students think he's there to save them. Oliver thinks to himself that there's no other way. He's a good teacher adored by everyone. If he eliminates the disciple who caused the anomaly in the secret realm and reveals his true nature, the students will thank him. Sal feels a murderous aura from Oliver, but before he could respond, Oliver attacks him. Oliver says that Sal should be satisfied to be killed by a slash at the level of a sword saint. Sal now knows that the so-called half-saints are gold swordmasters capable of unleashing sword saint-level attacks. Oliver realizes that Sal didn't actually die and prepares to kill him again. The blood demon phantasm previously taught Sal to detect poison in his bloodstream using blood magic. But Sal realizes this isn't poison. This is something different. It's the way Oliver's internal power operates. By sensing this, Sal can see through his moves and actions. Once he understands the mechanism, he might be able to replicate the other's techniques in the future. Meanwhile, William attacks Oliver from behind. Oliver realizes Sal is harder to kill than he thought, and William's attacks are also harder to deal with than usual, so he can only use one move. As he uses his only move, the lake monster awakens, and Oliver leaves thinking the students will be grateful to the teacher for arranging this real battle training. After Oliver leaves, the students are on their own, fighting for their lives. One of them breaks down thinking he can't die. He still has to earn money to support his family. He needs to achieve success. As the monster rushes towards them, Sal tells William to use his strength to block and orders Andrea and Gloria to protect the students. Sal tells William to give him the crystal. William tells Sal that that's his mission. But Sal says that if they don't kill the monster, he will fail the mission regardless. If Sal uses techniques at the level of the Blood Shadow Blades against a disaster-level monster, it will definitely give the Blood Demon an opportunity to take control of his body. So he decides to use swordsmanship and magic below the silver level. He takes the crystal and tells William to buy him some time as he faces the monsters. As William fights the monsters to cover Sal, he asks how much longer he needs to fully absorb the blood magic crystal. Gloria uses her full strength to use a sword dance symphony move and comes down crashing. Sal rises after finally absorbing the blood magic crystals and uses Blood Flame Savage Serpent Slash, defeating the monsters with ease. As Sal finally defeats the monsters, one of the students, Louis, stands up, lifts his sword, and says, "The devil who practices blood magic, the evil spawn who abandoned his family, the bastard who harmed his brothers," and kneels down. He apologizes to Sal and asks for forgiveness for his past foolishness and ignorance. If it weren't for Sal, he would have been dead already. As everyone else kneels before Sal and apologizes too, another girl points towards an insect swarm. Sal uses his blood vision and thinks the insect swarm must be hiding some kind of secret. He tells Andrea to protect herself and take care of the students. As Sal uses his bloodlight shadow and goes to the bottom of the lake, he finds out the Melissa swarm is just a tool for harvesting life force. The real goal is to use the heart within the magic formation to resurrect the mage named Melissa. At the bottom, he finds black magic and thinks a bastard who steals others' life force to prolong his own life is better off dead. As he breaks off the dark magic spell, the student's magic recovers too, and the secret realm door appears, which Sal didn't expect to find by accident. Meanwhile, Oliver stands thinking that everything that happened in the secret realm must not be spread outside. Otherwise, His Royal Highness's plan to take over the academy will be affected, and he won't be able to gain a foothold in the academy anymore. He thinks to himself, surely not everything is going to develop in the worst direction. The door to the secret realm opens ahead of schedule, so someone survived. So now Oliver will have to go all out to prevent any mistakes. All the people are happy as the door is opening. Once it's stable, they will be able to leave. They don't want to spend one more second in this shitty place. However, Andrea runs towards Sal to make sure he is all right, so Sal clarifies that he is the same as them. His stamina and mana have all been fully recovered, and he even found two things at the bottom of the lake. A crystal bottle having the scent of that strange poison inside the monsters' bodies. Andrea finds this type of crystal bottle very rare, and she plans to go back and ask her teacher to take a look. Perhaps he will find some clues. William examines its size, realizing this should be the disaster-grade magic crystal left behind by that five-headed dragon. And it is a shame those earlier magic crystals were used up, and they can't stay in this place with the poison mist lingering for long. The Cooper family's children bring the magic crystals they have collected before too, so that Sal can use them to complete the mission. Sal is finally accepted by everyone. Oliver, on the other hand, thinks everything that happened in the secret realm must not be spread outside. Otherwise, His Royal Highness's plan to take over the academy will be affected, and he won't be able to gain a foothold in the academy anymore. He wonders if everything is always going to develop in a worse direction, even if the door of the secret realm opens before schedule, so he is curious about who survived and decided to go all out to prevent any mistake. He angrily comes out of the corner, questioning them why they can't just die quietly in the secret realm, and attacks Sal immediately. However, Sal was alert and used his bloodlight stealing shadow skill to defend himself from that attack. Gloria and Andreas are stunned by witnessing this, because they weren't expecting Oliver to attack suddenly. When Oliver doesn't stop, Sal counterattacks him, revealing that he has seen his death and the person who should really die is him. But suddenly George interrupts, telling them to stop and questioning Oliver if he has any idea what he is doing. But Oliver reveals that he is killing the evildoer who poisoned the secret realm. Everyone who hears this gets in utter disbelief, wondering if they are actually poisoned. To find evidence about this, GetOS opens a magic scroll. It can identify the scent of the poison, and if the culprit is among them, the scroll would immediately find him. They all wonder if Sal really poisoned the secret realm, but he just saved them. Perhaps he used a taboo substance for the sake of completing his mission, and took the opportunity to save them at the same time, completely turning his reputation around. George laughs from inside, finding everyone a bunch of fools as they let themselves be manipulated so easily, destined to remain pawns their entire lives. He smirks, asking Sal if he has anything to say. Though Sal smirks back, admitting that it is always easy to frame someone for a crime by finding a pretext, and that is when he grabs George, making him wonder, how is he so fast, and if this is actually the true power of a sword saint. The fact that he can't actually use his strength after being grabbed by him is unreal. Suddenly he mockingly laughs, reminding Sal, according to Article 367 of the Academy Rules, faculty and staff have the right to kill anyone who attacks school staff without reason. Instantly, he possesses his staff, refers to Sal as the direct disciple of Chris, and tells him to accept his punishment. The moment Sal is about to be attacked, the headmaster enters the scene, telling George to wait. This isn't the time. George quickly turns back, showing him the bottle he found in Sal's possession, using the magic scroll he gave to George. When the headmaster uses the advanced appraisal technique, he realizes it is actually the secret poison used by the royal family to target blood mages. He knows Chris really is a very troublesome person, but he clarifies to George that this doesn't prove anything. They still need to imprison them in the dungeons and investigate slowly. He does this because he knows Sal will be targeted by a constant stream of murderous intent, so it is better to imprison them first. People at the corner stand are unsure if Sal had really used the poison. Some believe he did because Professor George used the headmaster's magic scroll to find proof. Others think differently, saying that Professor Chris denied it and that the headmaster did not punish Sal immediately. Some even suspect that Oliver set Sal up since they all saw how he ignored their safety in the secret realm. Later on at the Academy dungeon, Sal is lying on a wooden material in the prison while Chris sits beside him, revealing that this poison is specifically used by the royal family to deal with blood mages. According to his investigations, it came from none other than the second prince, Sandrew. Listening to this, Sal angrily tries standing up, but Chris stands up to walk away and, before leaving, advises Sal to stay here and think carefully. There is no shortage of enemies to kill in this world. Oliver, on the other hand, finds Sal pretty foolish because Professor Chris's duty is to protect the royal family, and Sal actually told him right in his face that he is going to kill His Highness. Sal is surprised as he didn't expect Sal to still serve Chris at this point, as he didn't care for his life at all. But it is Oliver's honor to be able to contribute his strength for His Highness. Sal questions Oliver about whether he ever thinks if it is worth it or not, and he asks if Oliver's talent and hard work are only meant to satisfy the desires of those he sees as worthless. He says that Oliver must also feel like a disposable pawn who can be abandoned at any moment, so he asks if Oliver has anything else in his life, like his family or something to care about. Sal then gives him an option that if he is willing to confess everything about the secret realm to Headmaster Albus, he promises to help him break free from the control of the second prince, though Oliver tells him to shut up as he won't betray his family. Later on, a guy comes to inform them that His Highness has arranged a duel for Oliver and Sal in the beast fighting arena. He hands Oliver a vine through the gap in the prison gate, explaining, "This precious vine of life will bestow upon him the final glory." Oliver assures the guy to follow His Highness's orders even if he dies. The guy is glad that he understands. His Highness accepts his loyalty, but the fact that he will definitely die if he uses the vine of life raises the question, what is the point of obtaining glory after death? At the Empire's beast fighting arena, the audience cheers in excitement as tonight's duel will follow the most ancient rule. The two warriors will fight under the attack of a magical beast. Whether by killing their opponent or teaming up to slay the beast, the last warrior standing will receive their cheers and a reward from His Highness, the second prince. The duel officially begins when the magical beast awakens. The moment the duel begins, Oliver confidently attacks Sal with his sword, assuming he has already seen through Sal's blood magic sword technique, so as long as he expands his area of impact, his bloodlight tricks will be useless. But that doesn't go like the plan, and Sal easily attacks Oliver with his sword. As a 4-year-old who is painstakingly trained in the sword and possesses an S-rank sword, talent is nearly impossible to defeat, and too talented. Looking at the fight, the second prince wonders why Oliver is not using the potion and asks his men to bring Grace, Oliver's mother, and the second prince's cook, over. When Oliver looks behind, he sees his mom standing with the prince, which makes him worried about what will happen to her if he fails because of the circumstances. He drinks the potion, and while running towards Sal, he requests him to lose to his mother. Before he can figure it out, Oliver uses his sword to throw him into the air. Only with Oliver's sacrifice can his mother survive the night. With this in mind, Oliver runs toward the magic beast, hoping that his death will calm the prince's rage. He also hopes that Sal will accept his death as atonement and save his mother. Oliver is dying and begs Sal to take care of his mother while the underworld vine core gets connected to his heart. But Sal tells him to take care of his family himself. Stay alive so that he can repay him slowly, and that is when Sal puts the sword to him while using his blood manipulation flesh rebirth skill. The blood of the underworld vine can neutralize the negative effect of the Vine of Life potion. As the process takes effect, Sal reassures Oliver, telling him to focus on recovering quietly. He also mentions that Master Chris would come later to look after him. Later on, Sandrew meets Sal personally, with a bodyguard standing behind his throne while Grace, Oliver's mother, is kneeling down before Sandrew. Sandrew smirks as he didn't expect blood magic to be so powerful. It can defeat both a disaster-grade magical beast and half a sword saint at the same time. He then sighs and asks Sal for his reward, as he is the victor of the duel. Sal takes a pause and then points out Grace, emphasizing that he wants her. Surprised, Sandrew questions him if he wants her to take revenge on Oliver, but he is impressed at the same time, finding him a true natural blood magic cultivator. He praises him for having greed, bloodlust, and a desire to wreak havoc on everything flowing in his bones, so he offers Sal to join him and become the new blade in his hands. Listening to this, Sal steps forward towards Sandrew, questioning him if he was always so fickle towards his subordinates because Oliver obeyed his order. But after he dies, his family immediately loses protection. In response, Sal challenges him, asking what would happen if he chose not to follow him. Sandrew remains firm, claiming that blood mages are born to be scorned by the world. Only those in positions of great power could offer them protection. He threatens him that he will be expelled from the academy for being the mastermind of the Secret Realm incident if he doesn't become Sandrew's sword. When the bodyguard sees Sal not agreeing, he then tries attacking Sal for bestowing Sandrew's grace, but Sal deflects the attack. Meanwhile, Oliver and Chris enter the scene, and Grace rushes towards Oliver, hugging him. All the soldiers spot Oliver, try attacking him, call him an assassin, and make sure he dies. But Sal immediately puts his sword at Sandrew's throat to make them stop mocking him for not having a useful authority at all. Sandrew stands there unfazed, turning his attention to Chris. As the captain of the Royal Guards, Chris was expected to act immediately, yet he has not killed the assassin attempting to take the life of a royal family member. Sandrew questions him, expressing that his lack of action might mean he has also become a traitor. Chris clarifies, the only person he is loyal to is His Majesty. He then takes out 3 potions, revealing these were discovered in the dense forest of Melissa, and linked to Oliver, who comes from the royal family as the captain of the Royal Guards. He has a duty to investigate its origin. Chris finds it fortunate that Sal saved Angela at that time. Otherwise, he would have been controlled by Sandrew like Oliver. However, Sandrew knows if he really lets him continue investigating, by the time the truth is exposed, he will be confined by His Majesty. The new student exchange conference at the academy is about to begin, and if he is grounded at this time, his elder brother will likely take over his tasks, which will delay his grand plans. So he nervously reveals these 3 potions were bestowed to Marin before. As for what they appeared on Oliver, he pretends he has no idea. Chris realizes that Sandrew means to say that everything was planned by Moran and Oliver, and has nothing to do with him at all. Sandrew even claims to punish Moran and give Sword Saint Chris an explanation. Being told that, Sal asks Sandrew to call Moran over. He knows that this guy is the mastermind controlling everything. Just because he is the prince, he has countless people catering to him. If Sal really hurts him, Master Chris will get in trouble too. In that case, he will kill Moran first and break his wings. After a while, Moran is being called and was about to be attacked by Sal, but Alan unexpectedly appears, blocking the attack. He says that he was wondering who was daring enough to kill royalty in front of everybody, so it turns out to be him. Alan reveals that according to sacred rules of the Empire, Moran is a baron. Even if he really killed Sal, all he needs to do is apologize to the Cooper family and pay a gold compensation. But Sal didn't die. Therefore, Moran didn't violate any of the Empire rules. He then meets Sandrew, apologizing from Sal's side to confront him, so Sandrew suggests Alan keep their hunting dog in its cage instead of him coming out and biting wildly. Alan then turns towards Sal, smirking and asking him if he is ready to be dragged back into the cage by him. Chris is surprised by Sal's reaction. When the obnoxious guy from the Cooper family insulted him in front of everyone, he actually ignored those words and did not get mad, but Sal knows there is no point in getting angry. He has defeated Alan more than once in the past, but he has the Shadow Oath. As long as he is not dead, the shadows in the Cooper family will suffer. The Cooper family's matriarch won't let Alan come here on his own to see death, so probably Hera came with him too. After all, the second prince is in charge of the new student exchange ceremony. He will definitely invite the 7 great generational families if he wants to create his own faction to seize authority. In an instant, 2 guards come from behind, aiming to attack Sal and suggesting Chris not be tricked by him, but Sal counterattacks them, which makes them fly into the air before falling on the ground. He clarifies that in this new student exchange ceremony, there will be many S-rank talents far better than the 2 of them waiting for him to defeat and make allies, so he doesn't have time to fool around with all of them. Chris laughs as he finds Sal matured a little. He then informs Sal that he has arranged a meeting with Headmaster Albus for him. He is very interested in the inheritance of the first blood magic sword saint. Perhaps he might be able to teach Sal something new. At the great training grounds of Imperial Academy, Albus asks Sal to use his strongest move to attack him, but Sal nervously denies. This makes Albus laugh as he realizes that Sal is a kid who respects his elders, so in that case, he makes the first move. Something that makes Sal surprised is Albus using magic without incantation, but Sal gets saved as he has blood magic acting as a buffer. However, this force is no less than a sword saint's slash at full strength. Now, Albus summons his training magic puppet, disclosing he might not be as powerful as at his peak, but he is still dealing with a gold swordsmaster, so Sal should feel free to use his full strength. Hearing this, Sal smiles, agreeing to go all out, and requests Albus to show him more of his skills. Sal then uses Swordsmanship Inheritance's 4th technique, Bloodstorm of Carnage. But Albus suggests that it is very flashy, but the effects leave more to be desired, and it is extravagant, but not practical, so it would be better if he concentrated a bit more. Sal tries taking Albus's command and uses his Blood Flame skill, but this is burning his own blood energy to increase his damage. Being told that, Sal switches to a salvage Serpent Slash, but Albus finds it too reckless as the Blood Demon puppet will take the opportunity to devour the host. Blood Demon feeds on flesh and blood. Sal burning his blood energy will only strengthen the abilities of the Blood Demon, and Sal forced the activation of a more advanced blood magic sword technique, causing his own blood to be continuously depleted, which ultimately led to a backlash from the Blood Demon puppet. The Blood Demon puppet has trapped Sal and is asking Albus to let him go as he wants to kill them all. Chris interrupts as he is worried that this can't go on because Sal can't last any longer. Meanwhile, Albus tells him not to panic, as in order to protect Sal, he has to temporarily imprison it. He then tells Sal, before he can master the power of the Blood Demon puppet, he is forbidden to use blood magic. This makes Sal shocked as the new student exchange ceremony is about to begin, and it is impossible not to use the techniques he is the most familiar with. Chris tells that is why he has to master it quickly. The core of the blood magic is controlling blood. He will give Sal special training from now on. Albus knows Sal has become addicted to magic techniques, and if this power isn't controlled, it will be a disaster. But the question arises. The armies led by the 1st and 2nd Cooper were invincible, but they all died in one night. So what really happened? Sal wonders if it is because the blood magic technique went out of control. Yet there are no such records in the Empire's history. His thoughts are interrupted when Albus suggests he fully master blood magic sword techniques, as this is the only way he can keep many people in the academy he cares about out of danger. Now Sal and Chris decide to get going for the special training, though the fewer people who know about this secret training, the better. Suddenly Chris spots a suspicious bird but then ignores it, thinking the forest gets bigger and all kinds of birds will appear. In the forest, a S-rank prodigy from the Forest family, one of the 7 great noble families, is the bird keeping an eye on Sal, as the second prince ordered her to ensure that Sal refrains from using blood demon sword techniques. He is effectively handicapping himself, so she thinks she will definitely be able to eliminate him during the upcoming freshman exchange ceremony. The date for the Imperial Academy's annual new student exchange ceremony has arrived. This is a rare event in St. Gordon, and the seats will usually be full. The audience can not only see the unique talents of the freshmen, but also the family heads of the legendary Duke families, Royal Highness, the second prince, respected representatives of the Duke's families, and their outstanding teachers and students of the Imperial Academy. This ceremony is hosted by His Highness, the second Prince Sandrew. The victor will not only receive priority guidance at the Imperial Academy, but will also earn the appreciation of His Royal Highness, the second prince, and have a wish fulfilled. Sal realizes that the second prince's intention of recruiting people is really clear as day, but this wish came at a great time. If he wins this competition, the Cooper family's downfall is going to get quicker. However, this dueling competition is divided into preliminaries and elimination matches. The 8 students who earn the qualifications from the preliminaries shall advance to the 1v1 elimination matches, where the victor will be decided. The preliminaries will follow the old rules. The first 8 students who cut off the Hydra's head and bring it out of the arena will advance to the elimination matches. The competition begins, and the S-rank prodigy from the Forest family cuts off one Hydra's head. She mastered both the magically forged arrow and raven transformation at such a young age. The moment she is about to attack the head again, a guy named Thoradin Dranka attacks it mockingly, thanking her for giving him the qualification to advance. On the other hand, Sal finds it interesting, wondering who will win, the King of Forests, the Forest family, or the King of Storms, the Dranka family. As she tries attacking him, Thoradin thinks that her attack is weak and cannot break through the defense. With just a small movement, he easily wins, as expected of a member of the Dranka family, who has the reputation of having monstrous defense. The audience is in utter disbelief as this guy is more dangerous than the five-headed dragon in the secret realm. Fortunately, there is a seal suppressing it, otherwise it would be troublesome. Suddenly, the Isaac family, once known as the king's right hand in a past life, enters, claiming not to let the northern barbarians look down on their empire's warriors. However, the Hydra has been enraged, and they all need to defend themselves now. When Andrea is being attacked, Sal protects her, making Andrea realize that his sword energy is strong enough to slash through a magical beast. Meanwhile, William also got one head. Once Sal gets another head, all members will successfully advance. Though Sal thinks it is rare for the Hydra to be suppressed to this extent, apart from its head, he wants to retrieve something else, so he suggests Andrea and all of them get back, as he will use this as training. Although he can't use his blood magic, he is able to withstand the Hydra's attack now that his body has strengthened. When the Hydra uses its blaze magic attack, Sal grabs one of its heads and positions it so that the attack hits another head instead. Now that the Hydra's rapidly regenerating shield has been shattered by its own strongest attack, when 8 of the Hydra's heads are cut off, it will consume the center head's energy to instantaneously regenerate the other heads, and this will lead to the Hydra entering a state of extreme weakness. Right now he just needs to use the sword to cleave at the Hydra, and then if he uses the blood magic resonance taught by Chris, he will be able to obtain the Hydra's rapid regeneration ability. But his plans don't go accordingly as he tries challenging the most difficult head and is now being trapped by it. At this particular moment, Alan mocks him and offers him to kneel down and beg him so that maybe he will let him have this. Sal smirks because he obviously wouldn't do it, but Alan threatens him that if he doesn't care about advancing, then what about his friends who are being trapped by Hydra's regenerating heads? Sandrew sits there smirking as he notices the Hydra's seal has been broken, and wonders if the guy from the Cooper family really has a death wish. He also hopes some of the playthings in this arena will die. That would make things far more exciting. Meanwhile, Sal is struggling. Alan assures him of returning all his past humiliation back to him today, and uses his blood to wash away all the shame. Alan has brought Lysa, the fiercest dog of the Sana family. Lisa uses black magic that binds, weakens, and drains life. Fighting her only leads to being consumed. Because of Alan's interference, Sal failed to cut off the Hydra's main head, allowing it to fully break free from its seal. Now, Sal decides to let Lisa face the consequences and experience the Hydra's power. However, Alan thinks he is foolish for destroying Lysa's hair, as that alone won't stop her. She can absorb the Hydra's flames and transform them into different forms. By angering the Hydra and provoking it, the creature is bound to react. But since it has just broken free, the chance to attack is slipping away. Sal must deal with Alan quickly. Sal then asks everyone to leave the arena and bring Lisa with them too. Meanwhile, the announcer announces 3rd place, Gloria Isaac earning the qualification, 4th place, Andrea, 5th place, Nameless Knight, and 6th place, William. When William takes Lisa out of the arena, she is biting his hand, so he makes her understand if she stays inside, it will delay Sal from resolving vendetta with Alan, and that she doesn't need to waste her life protecting that scum human. As the announcer announces the 7th position is of Lysa, William assures her that this is the qualification she has earned on her own. He hopes that in the next competition. On the other hand, Alan's anger doubles when he realizes his dog has betrayed him. Though Sal mocks him because now no one is taking his damage, and he will die. But Alan is too confident of becoming the last person to advance, and Sal only being worthy to become the Hydra's food. But Sal laughs and quickly attacks the Hydra, thanking Alan as he wouldn't be able to cut off the Hydra's head so easily without him, as he has helped him to complete the ritual when the Hydra is at its weakest. Chris once mentioned that there is an ancient blood magic ritual recorded in ancient books. By mixing his blood with the beasts, he will be able to form a resonance through blood magic. And that is exactly what he did. Sal has even received the S-rank ability Rapid Regeneration. Any flesh damage received will be swiftly repaired at the moment of injury and eliminate the negative effects of pain. At this point, humans can achieve a high level of blood synchronization with magical beasts. Instantly, he cuts off Alan's arm, but now he won't be able to regenerate it. Sal, after cutting it off, received Hydra's A-rank ability, Corrosion, instantly devouring the target's vitality. He then asks Alan if, as the master of the Shadow Oath, he experienced what the shadows feel. Ignoring the question, Alan's eye widens as he understands now how he has survived until now, but assures Sal that this wouldn't work anymore, as any damage he receives will be transferred to the endless shadows. Sal sighs as he realizes Alan doesn't understand the Shadow Oath. The one acting as the shadow cannot transfer damage they endure on behalf of the master to another shadow. Now that he has received the Hydra regenerative talent, this level of attack won't deal any damage to him, and he won't feel any pain. When Sal attacks Alan, he begs Sal to just kill him, but he won't because he wants Alan to live with this dirty and painful life, fearful of when the next suffering is going to come. Sal then takes the main head with him and shows it off in the air, while the announcer announces that the 8th place is earned by Sal Cooper. Though Thoradin from the audience witnesses the scene, Sal shows off the main head of Hydra, which no one has even slain, realizing this person is very powerful. Sal also notices Thoradin. Knowing he has possessed extraordinary defensive abilities and the rumored secret technique of the dragon taming, he is looking forward to facing him. The one-on-one elimination match will be held tomorrow. For the first match, Thoradin Dranka will be facing off against Sal Cooper. The next day, the duel begins, though Sal has realized that he is fighting such a strong opponent like Thoradin in the first round of the elimination match. It is obvious that the second prince is targeting him. His attention then shifts to Thoradin, who is coming towards Sal to attack him with his axes. It was a powerful strike, and the speed is fast too, but Sal, being agile, defends himself from the axe's attack. Thoradin assumes that Sal is probably afraid of fighting him head-on. That is why he is jumping around like a loach. That being said, Sal steps forward, jumping on the axe and making it hit the ground, smirking and taunting Thoradin for being scared as he is the one hiding afar and using weapons to attack. Hearing this insult, Thoradin tries punching him, but Sal blocks the punch by holding Thoradin's fist. But Sal praises him as he is not big, but his strength is pretty impressive. Though Thoradin realizes it is a cunning move, infuriating him and then launching a sneak attack. His anger doubles. He grabs his weapons and combines his attacks. The fact that Sal finds his defense ridiculous, even the combined attacks of ringthorns and corrosion, failed to cause any wounds. Thoradin then aims for Sal's face, but he uses his blood magic resonance skill to stop Thoradin's movement. This makes Thoradin angrier, and he summons Thor, Phaisha, who is named after her agility and ice powers. Her personality is quite incompatible with the fiery Thoradin. On the other hand, Chris finds it unfair because the school rules dictate that summoned beasts cannot participate in the elimination matches. Though the speaker agrees with him, rules are rules, but as a Dragon Knight, Thoradin is exempted from them, and if he is not happy, Sal can summon a dragon too. Back to the duel, the dragon blows ice towards Sal, which surrounds him. He knows it won't end well for him if this drags on. He needs to find a way to get closer to his opponent. Sandrew praises Thoradin, so his father thanks him and brags that he is his proudest child. As the only member of the Dranka family in a century to form a contract with a dragon, and with his ability to use Phaisha to communicate with heaven and earth to channel the power of sky lightning, he will undoubtedly lead the Dranka family and the dragon race to a glorious future. While Thoradin makes Sal face the strongest attack of the Dragon Knight, smoke surrounds the surface, making him assume that Sal dies and arrogantly claims to be able to die from such a powerful lightning strike is Sal's greatest honor. But as the smoke starts to disappear, a voice breaks in. It is Sal telling Thoradin not to be happy yet. Sal has obtained Magic Dragon, an S-rank skill magic immunity, able to absorb and be immune to all ice, fire, lightning, and all other natural magic. Everyone is shocked to see another dragon, a magic dragon, that was rumored to be extinct. Only natural disasters can help a magic dragon to advance its abilities. In the previous life, Alan obtained the magic dragon but couldn't get it to evolve, but this magic dragon is in its evolved form, Thunderflame, Magic Dragon, SS rank species, able to use magic of 3 attributes, wind, lightning, and fire at the same time. With a blow from the dragon, Thoradin is knocked out, and the whole crowd goes crazy witnessing such power. Sal realizes this is what it feels like to stand under the sunlight. This is a glory that a shadow like him would never have gotten. Meanwhile, Thoradin's father is furious, calling Sal a thief who stole the treasure of the Dranka family, asking to return his magic dragon to him. He throws an axe at Sal, but his magic dragon protects him, and Sal sits there on his dragon unfazed, threatening him to show him the reality today. In this world, with only weapons and the dragon cavalry troops who can fly, they are undoubtedly the most powerful combat force. In order to ensure the balance of inherited power among all families, he killed all magic dragons in a single battle. The remaining magic dragon eggs were sealed in the Water Crystal City, and the key was split into 2, kept separately by the Cooper family and Isaac family. Thoradin's father sees the lightning erupting from the dragon, but still says that the magic dragons didn't go extinct. Though dragons are the most loyal creatures, a dragon that has acknowledged its master will never betray them, and forcefully abducting it will only push it into suicide. However, he asks Sal if the dragon has any other siblings, and asks its whereabouts because if the Dranka family can obtain a dragon, they would definitely become the leader of the 7 great families. But Sal reveals it is the last surviving magic dragon in this world. All the remaining dragon eggs were destroyed. The old guy doesn't understand who gave that order, so Sal comes near him, asking who he thinks is the one who least wants to see the Dranka family return to its former glory, as sometimes subservience doesn't necessarily lead to protection, so the old guy realizes that this could be the second prince. Despite that, the second battle is between William and the girl from the Forest family who comes from the forest, Luna. Sal informs William that they are the best at making traps to hunt prey efficiently. Therefore, he needs to use his speed to get close and end the battle with his fastest strike. Otherwise, he would fall into a defensive position. Luna charges for her attack, but William uses his Empire Sword technique in return, but she blocks it. Meanwhile, Sal didn't expect Luna to deploy her defenses so quickly. William's attacks are powerful, but it is easy for the opponent to predict them in advance. At this time, it is best to use Luna's attack to break free from the vines and take advantage of her slowed reaction after the attack to quickly get close and counterattack. But William uses the explosive energy from the Empire Sword technique to get away from the vines, but while explosive energy can break from the vines, it uses up a lot of stamina. William uses all the attributes of the sword technique, but suddenly, Luna disappears. And when William searches for her, she is right behind him, taunting him for only learning the sword technique. But that is all there is to it. And the fact that William can't even move now is the effect of hallucinogenic plants. It turned out that Luna had planted seeds of fly agaric inside the vine's thorns from the very beginning. Once the vines are destroyed, the fly agaric will grow wildly. In William's final attack, a large amount of spires were absorbed by William along the airflow of the explosion, causing him to fall into hallucination. Sal realizes this is Luna's hidden trump card, but he has now aimed to defeat her for William when it is their turn to fight. The speaker announces that William is out of bounds. Luna Forest wins. As William is on the ground, Sal approaches him, but someone already captures him by the hair. It is Lysa. It makes Sal wonder about when they got so close that Lisa was even faster than him at catching William. Though Andrea tries healing him, she senses that there is a strange hallucinogenic energy in William's body, and she can't get him to wake up from that energy. But Sal gets an idea and asks Lisa if he can trouble her to use her black magic to give William a little electric shock, as he needs to wake up as soon as possible. William finally woke up because of Lysa. As William thanked her, she blushed and ran away. Whereas, just now, Lisa's magic and Andrea's briefly merged in William's body, and she accidentally glimpsed Lisa's memory. Lysa wasn't able to protect Alan previously, and now she also saved William. She is worried that the matriarch will punish her, but they assume that Lysa still has her elimination match later. The matriarch won't be crazy enough to punish her before that. Unexpectedly, Hera has already captured Lysa and is torturing her for not protecting her master and for still wanting to participate in the elimination match. The Sana family, well known for their dark magic, would seek out impoverished children all over every year and bring them into the family's dark temples. The Sana family's dark magic originated from the deepest pain and despair of the human mind. There was such a thing as a bottom line for the Sana family, and their humanity was long gone. Only the few lone souls lucky enough to survive the despair were worthy enough to be branded by the Sana family and become terrifying killing machines. Back to Hera torturing Lisa, she mocks her, calling her the dog of the Sana family, and accusing her of forgetting Sana's teachings. She tells her to always be ready to sacrifice everything for her master, including her body and soul. And then, with a metal chain wrapped around her arm, Hera strikes her, taunting her for failing to protect her master. She declares that since Lisa couldn't fulfill her duty, her arm is now worthless. But before she could hurt her more, Sal and Andrea enter the scene, and Sal uses his magic to throw the metal chain away from Hera. Hera smirks and shows him a material she is wearing on her finger, and threatens Sal for pulling the dark magic collar on him, and he will become just like this dog, living a life worse than death, and only able to grovel before her. But Sal smirks back, mocking her for Alan not having a chance to tell her. He elaborates. Something went a little wrong with the shadow oath planted in him by the Cooper family, and now Alan has become his shadow. Hera grits her teeth, but before she could do something, Sal warns her that poor Alan will be experiencing every pain and wound in Sal's place, and taunts her for praying that he lives a longer and happy life. He then approaches Lisa, but before he could, Hera grabs Lisa and asks Sal to take a good look at her, as she will never be able to escape the control of the Sana family because not everyone is an ungrateful brat like him. Sal gets angry and tries to attack Hera, but Andrea reminds him not to be rash because he will be disqualified if he acts against a noble. She even informs him that she has seen Lisa's memories, and as long as they are able to awaken the warmest memories within her, she can escape the dark magic's control. Being told that, Sal approaches Lisa and makes her remember that she still has an elimination match. As long as she wins, she can stay in the Imperial Academy and will be free if she can leave this basement. The moment Sal is motivating her, he reminds her of William, and she tries to break free. Lisa murmurs that she cannot die here. She screams, breaks free, and runs out of the door. That is where she runs into William and hugs him. Hera, on the other hand, is angry and claims that even if Lisa is free of dark magic, she is still the Sana family's private property. But a voice breaks in, correcting her that Lisa is a participant in the matches, not anyone's private property. It is Master Albus. Hera still smirks, reminding Albus, too bad that the school can't offer any more protection after the new student's dueling ceremony ends. So Albus says it can happen if she becomes his student, and questions her if the Sana family is willing to offend him on her behalf, someone who is already married outside the family. Hearing this, she walks away, and Sal thanks the headmaster for his help. So he informs Sal that William asked him desperately. As a teacher, he is obliged to satisfy his students' demands. Sal realizes that it looks like William really cares about Lisa if he persuades the headmaster, though Lisa is in William's care now. Meanwhile, Sal thanks Oliver for informing them about the secret basement, or else they wouldn't have saved Lisa. Before the headmaster Albus got Oliver involved, Lisa, as the representative of the Sana family, had already forfeited. Moran has announced the advancement of Andrea too. In the other group stage, Gloria was up against the Nameless Knight. That Nameless Knight was able to quickly overwhelm Gloria without taking any damage. Even with his years of experience as a teacher, he wasn't able to tell the kind of skills that guy was using. It is now Sal's turn in the elimination match. If he can't make it in time, the second prince will disqualify him outright. Back to the duel ground, the speaker, Moran, is counting down from 3. If Sal is still not there, then it will count as him forfeiting. Moran is counting, but before he could complete the counting, he stops as Sal comes to the ground with his magic dragon. He then asks Luna if they can continue. Luna tries attacking him, but before she could, the dragon uses his thunder flame roar because Sal won't give him the chance to use her old tricks again. He will end this quickly. Though Luna falls out of the arena because of the attack, Sal eventually wins. The thunder flame magic dragon is too dominating. After a unanimous decision by the second prince and the academy leaders, it is now forbidden to use tamed monsters in the competition. Hearing this, Sal smirks as the academy is really fair when dealing with him. Now the next match is Andrea versus Nameless Knight. Professor Cassidon guides her that the opponent's defense is very ridiculous, but Gloria couldn't hurt him at all. She must not pull her punches. As the duel begins, Andrea casts 3 advanced attacks, magic naming Crystal Meme, Lightning Crackle Crackle, and Rocks Boom Boom. Cassidon sarcastically says that he finds the name pretty adorable, but the Nameless Knight reveals that Andreas's attacks are ineffective against him. Sal is also shocked because how could the attacks disappear for no reason? Though the guy confesses that the scales of power will send back something equal in return, Sal has realized that the guy is going to use his ultimate. It is wind magic. Not only can it swallow attack energy, but it can also borrow the power of the wind to launch a counterattack. With the blow, Andrea is out of the arena and the Nameless Knight wins. It is an immediate win. His power seems to be stronger than the other opponents. Sal carries Andrea as she is injured, though Moran announces that the final battle will be between Sal and the Nameless Knight. The winner will become the new head of the academy, and all the students, both commoners and nobles, will follow his lead during their time in school. The final begins now. As the Nameless Knight and Sal stand face to face, Sal admits that the Knight is the strongest opponent he has faced, but today's victor will only be his. As the fight continues, the Knight reveals that Sal is the first person to bring the sword to his neck, but tells him not to be happy yet as the victor hasn't been decided. The Knight then equips the Angel Wings, an S-rank multi-function weapon, able to attack, defend, and change its form. It is the treasure of the Empire's auction house and is worth as much as a city. He has formed a shield with it, surrounding himself with a super-strong hurricane to form a stable, absolute spatial defense. Sal realizes that this person is not simple as the wing form is activated, fused onto the body, and strengthens the body's strength and speed, and can accumulate sword energy in the wind until it is released. As the battle heats up, Chris realizes this is the guy he taught in the past. Moran informs Sandrew about it as well, and he is also shocked, as he didn't think that he would dare to show up here. He tells Moran the batch of people they secretly cultivate can be deployed here. Today is the day the Nameless Knight shall die. When they are fighting, the knight questions him that his swordsmanship is actually on par with him, and he gets stronger the more the battle drags on. So how is that possible? Sal smirks, asking him if he thinks that the blood magic is only used to entrap him. That said, Sal activates the blood lava skill, uses blood to construct a lava domain, and can establish a link with Sal at any time. The blood energy can sense in the arena and provide energy. In that case, the knight decided to dry up all his blood energy and activate his Storm Holy Sword. It can absorb the sword energy on the strong winds and transform into countless sword shadows to launch ranged AoE attacks. Though Sal tries using blood energy to bind him and warns the knight that it is useless, blood energy is alive. Struggling will only make it tighter. In reality, he just wants to see how many trump cards the Nameless Knight has. The Nameless Knight uses the Hand of the Undeaded skill, the weapon of the first Sana family head. It has the ability to naturally restrain all living creatures. It is an S-rank black magic weapon, a treasure of the Empire's pawnshop. Its value is equal to that of a city. He also uses the Death Wither skill. It can drain the target's vitality and turn it into a dead body. Sal knows something is wrong. He clearly took the initiative to show his goodwill to him, but still he senses a more dangerous aura. As Sal attacks him to know who is behind him, the knight's mask falls. It is Leonard Richards, Crown Prince, the first prince of the royal family. In Sal's previous life, he had heard that the eldest prince was deeply loved by the soldiers and took the lead in suppressing the rebels from all sides. It was a pity that he died young. Now that he thinks about it, he probably died from the continuous assassination by the nobles. As the assassins enter the ground, Moran announces to prioritize the second prince's safety. It is the group of persistent hyenas again. Once they have caught the scent, they will never let it go. Leonard equips the vault form of angel wings, connects to the Empire's pawnshop treasury, and it can be quickly exchanged for any weapon based on loaning credibility and return at any time. He decided to kill the rebels who dared to assassinate members of the royal family. Sal plans that if he deals with the assassins and leaves a good impression on the Crown Prince, he won't have to worry about the second prince anymore. He never even found the chance to go on a killing spree after rebirth. Today, he will show all of them the might of the Godslayer in the previous life. Both the Crown Prince and Sal fought the assassins together. The Crown Prince equips the staff of the first patriarch of the Gandot family, capable of unleashing magic powerful enough to destroy stars, eternal stars. Meanwhile, Sal shows them the power of the Thunder Dragon Flame Dragon. With the blowing roar of the dragon, most of the assassins lay unconscious on the ground. Some who are left are faced by the Crown Prince's staff and are paying for attempting to take his life. He uses the first patriarch of the Isaac family's sickle, which can ignore defense and massacre a large area, the Blood Moon Scythe, to deal with them. But suddenly a weapon has been thrown at the Crown Prince to kill him. But Sal stops it. Sandrew casts alchemy arts by cutting a side of his hand. By sacrificing a large amount of flesh and blood, one can create objects powerful enough to shake the heavens and the earth. On the other hand, angel wings are in the bound form. When the user's mana is insufficient, all functions are deactivated. The mastermind behind all of this has suppressed the angel wings by spreading gases and potions in the air. Suddenly, with rapid regeneration, the body heals like a hydra, a legendary creature known for regrowing lost parts. This means wounds recover quickly, completely protected from all kinds of poison, and Thunder Hellfire is a powerful and pure flame mixed with lightning. It is so strong that it can burn away poisonous gases and get rid of dark magic, making it a deadly and cleansing force. Though a sandworm appears, the outer shells of the sandworm are immune to magic attacks, and the Crown Prince is weakened by poison. They can't let it get near them, so Sal uses the dragon to attack it. He uses the Dragon Breath, a concentrated and brief release of all the dragon's magical power. This is the dragon's most powerful magic attack, and that is how the sandworm is defeated, and the Crown Prince is saved. Sandrew assures the Crown Prince to definitely investigate seriously and not let the mastermind escape. Then the Crown Prince thanks Sal, as the imperial law stipulates that anyone who saves a royal family member can be granted noble status as an exception. He decides to grant Sal Cooper the title of Viscount. He will be responsible for helping the second prince investigate who is the mastermind behind the assassination. Though Sal can't help but be concerned about the connection between this sandworm and Sandrew's alchemy arts. Furthermore, the winner of the freshman exchange competition can fulfill his promise now. Sandrew tells him that it must be within his capabilities and what he wants. Regrets it as he wanted to use this as bait to make this victor his slave, and didn't expect Leonard to get ahead of him and win him over first. However, Sal demands the Cooper family's Silver Mist Swamp as his Viscount's fiefdom. The size of a fiefdom directly symbolizes authority and status. It is the most important thing for a family. The Crown Prince finds Sal worthy of it, and if the Silver Mist Swamp is not convenient to become Sal's territory, he will consider giving Incubus Ridge in the suburbs of the imperial capital to Sal. Everyone knows that piece of land has a black gold vein, so he spent a lot of effort to get the king to promise it to him. Sandrew knows gaining control over that black gold mine is equal to gaining control over half of the Empire's magical resources. He definitely must not let it fall into other people's hands.